We'll commence the meeting for October 6th, 2020. Tony, could you please read the roll?
Jimenez,
Present.
Perales,
Here.
Dieppe,
Present.
Carrasco,
Present.
Davis,
Here.
Esparza, Foley,
Here.
Camus, Jones,
Present.
Locardo.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to begin, particularly given the proclamation that's coming, I'd like to observe that we are conducting this meeting on the land that has been occupied for many, many generations by the Muwekma Ohlone, and honor them as we will later on in today's meeting. Now, could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello.
Thank you. Today's invocation will be provided by St. Francis Cabrini with Starting Arts, Circle of Life. Councilmember Foley will be telling us more.
Absolutely. Last year, when it was my turn to present the invocations, I focused on showcasing performances by District 9 students. Today, I'm proud to present a performance piece by the students of St. Francis Cabrini in conjunction with Starting Arts, who put together a production of The Lion King, which had to be canceled right before the show date due to the pandemic. However, students and parents seamlessly went online so that the show could go on remotely. All students, with the help of their parents, made their own costumes and recordings of these performances. Then the director, Miss Caitlin, compiled the video clips into one production. The students, aged 9 through 13, showed great dedication to theater, working to put together a wonderful show despite the difficulties brought on by the pandemic. Before I present their piece, I wanted to share a little bit with you about Starting Arts and St. Francis Cabrini. Starting Arts is a San Jose-based company that provides hands-on experience to children in 4 areas of discipline: dance, music, theater, and visual arts. Starting Arts began in 2000 with 1 elementary school. Today, they serve over 125 elementary and middle schools, many of them in your districts. I believe their artistic director, Mike Boston, might be on the Zoom call, unless he's teaching at Trace, because he's a music or theater teacher over there. St. Francis Cabrini, a District 9 school, is a Catholic school with an enrollment of 535 students from pre-K to 8th grade. They focus on educating the whole child and offer instruction for all students in Spanish for all grades. As a champion of performing arts, it warms my heart to see young kids so engaged. This piece even brings out a tear or two in me. The video I'm about to show you is the result of the hard work of the students of St. Francis Cabrini and their parents. Please enjoy this rendition of Circle of Life from The Lion King. Henry, do you have it queued up?
Yeah, I'll share my screen now.
Thank you. Please enjoy.
Baba
Thank you. I have to say that moves me every time I see that. It is awesome to watch the energy and passion of those kids, knowing that you should know this was done in March of this year. So we weren't really sure about what we were doing with Zoom, but these guys figured it out. The parents, the kids, the director, the staff. I'm so proud of them. Please support performing arts whenever you have that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Foley. I agree, that was wonderful and undoubtedly not easy to overcome the challenges of choreography with 9 kids in different places. It's fantastic. As I was getting text from parents of various of the children, so just want to say it's wonderful to see. So we're going to have a proclamation. This is unusual for us online, but because of the nature of the day that is fast approaching, we wanted to, and I know the entire council signed on to this proclamation, we wanted to present a proclamation to the chairwoman of the Muwekma Ohlone, Charlene Nishme, who is we hope she's with us. We'll find out in just a moment, along with the vice chairwoman, Monica Arellano, Councilwoman Gloria Gomez, Elder Councilman Frank Ruano, Councilwoman Sheila Guzman-Schmidt. For the first time in San Jose history, we'll be proclaiming Indigenous Peoples Day. And I want to thank all my colleagues for unanimously signing this proclamation. The Muwekma Ohlone, of course, have called our valley home for thousands of years before the Potala and Anza expeditions brought people of European descent to the Bay Area. And the Muwekma Ohlone comprise all of the known surviving Native American lineages aboriginal to the Bay Area, who trace their ancestry through the local missions, San Jose, Santa Clara, and Dolores, and more specifically constitute the Tamien community here in Santa Clara Valley. And of course, we have a light rail station in a neighborhood named after that community just to the south of our downtown. Contrary to the actions of the federal government in the 1920s, when historians essentially sought to erase the memory of the tribe, we know that several hundred tribal descendants remain in the region. And we certainly can benefit greatly from learning more from them particularly about natural resource management practices and land preservation in such sensitive areas as the Coyote watershed, which I believe, and I'm going to mispronounce it, I know, but I believe in the language, the Coyote Creek was called Mayan Rumi. And of course, the Muwekma Ohlone are one of several tribal communities here in Northern California. I've had recent opportunity to converse with leaders of the Amomutsun and Estland tribe. And what they have in common is so many of their ancestors have suffered severe injustice and dispossession in past centuries. And we certainly want to honor and support their descendants' efforts to revive their culture and their language and their history and ensure that children and adults today understand fully the sacrifices that were made, certainly the horrible oppression that has transpired before us, but the opportunities, I hope, to celebrate what is unique and beautiful in our Indigenous culture here as well. So there will be a memorandum coming to the Rules Committee tomorrow to agendize a council discussion that we hope will begin a conversation. I know that our new Director of Office of Racial Equity has been very interested in this issue, and so she will be leading an effort to engage with members of First Resident Tribal and Italian American communities regarding their perspectives and appropriate designations for the dates of celebration of their respective heritage. We know that Columbus Day is a national holiday that's traditionally celebrated on the second Monday, I believe, of October. We seek to designate October 12th as Indigenous Peoples Day here in the city of San Jose. And I wanted to ask if Chairwoman would mind offering a few words. Charlene, I see that your device appears to be muted right now.
Yes.
Oh, there you are.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Horshay Tuhi. That is good day in our Chochenyo language. I want to thank you, Mayor Liccardo and council members for inviting us and for presenting Muwekma with this proclamation. All Native peoples across America celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day as a day not only to remember our ancestors, but also so we'll never forget their struggles to survive the separation from their land, from their culture, from their language, and even from their children. Without our ancestors' resilience and strength, the Muwekma people who have settled these lands for over 10,000 years and whom we represent would not be here today to celebrate this day with you. Let us use this day to remember our real history. Let us use this day to acknowledge the mistakes of the past so we can begin the healing in the present. But most importantly, let us use this day to join together as a community of these lands to celebrate each other and the goodwill and friendship that exists between the Muwekma people and the city of San Jose and their citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you for taking the time to join us, and to the other members of tribal leadership. We appreciate your continued efforts, and we look forward to partnering with you in the months ahead and engaging with you, and I think will be a very constructive conversation. Thank you very much, Chairwoman. All right, so we will now move on to the orders of the day. Does anyone on the council have any changes to the printed agenda? I'm seeing no hands.
Move approval.
Okay.
Second.
I would like to adjourn the meeting in memory of Harry Mavrogenis. And those on the council maybe who weren't here for Harry's tenure, I can tell you Harry left an incredible mark on our city and on the growth of our city, on the hundreds of people who worked with Harry, and we're fortunate enough to serve under Harry, work with him as I was as a council member, a very young council member at the time, or at least much younger than I am now. Harry was a wonderful teacher for me, a mentor in many ways, helping me understand what is beautiful about cities, extraordinary opportunities and dynamism of cities that are growing. He was, of course, the head of the San Jose Redevelopment Agency. And I know that there are some members of the former RDA and the City Attorney's General Counsel Office colleagues who are on this call. And I want to recognize them. And particularly, I want to thank and recognize his wife, Olga, and his three daughters, Emily and Stephanie and Maria, and the many members of his extended family who may be with us. Harry has called San Jose home for nearly 45 years, and he served 3 decades of distinguished public service. He began his career in the city's planning department back in 1971, and he served as a principal planner with the redevelopment agency. At the time, it was just emerging under Mayor Janet Gray Hayes when she first merged all the redevelopment areas that really started to take things off in the late 70s and early 80s. And Harry was just there right at the moment. And he rose to leadership at that time. He became director of program development, and then the downtown coordinator, deputy executive director, and then finally executive director, which he served, I think, from 2003 until the state eliminated redevelopment agencies in 2011. So it was the tenure in which I knew him as executive director. And he had a great vision for the city. It included mixed use communities, particularly here in the downtown, but really he was passionate about supporting the RDA's role in all of our neighborhoods with what many of us know as a strong neighborhoods initiative. This was an award-winning, nationally recognized initiative, revitalizing 19 separate communities that really embraced community engagement in a way that we had never seen before in the city. And I know that there are today still neighborhood leaders that are deeply grateful for how the redevelopment agency under Harry's tenure got them engaged and ensured that we opened the doors to so many of our residents to have a say in the opportunities to build better communities. There are many landmarks here in the city that Harry has touched in some way or had some dramatic impact on. I just want to list a few if I can. The renovation of the historic California Theater, certainly a beautiful gem in our downtown. The implementation of the civic plan redevelopment plan, which is of course the new city hall. Not so new now, but certainly was then. And yes, that was very difficult to pull off. Thousands of high-rise residential units, many jobs that were created through public-private partnerships. Certainly we recognize the physical changes in our city because of Harry's leadership, but we know that more impactful changes were those that he left with those of us who benefited from working with and around him. I am so grateful for the time that I had serving with Harry. I should note that Harry was also very devout. He was devout Greek Orthodox Christian and served as a vice president on the parish council at St. Nicholas, which I think we all know is the great center for all things Greek, particularly the festival that hits us every spring, which is fantastic. He was a founding member of St. Basil's Greek Orthodox Church in Almaden. And so we're so grateful for all that he has done to support contribute to our community in so many ways. And I am certainly sad to hear of the news of that he has passed. So I know several other my colleagues have had great experiences with Harry as well. Dave, thank you. Dave,
thank you, Mayor. Just on behalf of the administration and just myself personally, just want to express our sympathy to Harry's family. I had the opportunity to work with Harry for many years. And for me, as I was coming up to the ranks, when Harry took on the role as an executive director, he was certainly for me the most accessible executive director that I'd ever worked with. Really good guy. For many of you that were around back then, you knew that there was always kind of a constructive competitiveness between the administration and the agency. Especially in the realm that I worked in, which was project delivery. But it was a healthy competitiveness. We ended up working together on a lot of projects. Just if you indulge me, I remember the day that Harry came over to City Hall to meet with my boss, Ron Kahn, and myself and Harry Freitas to talk to us about a project that the agency wanted to do. And that was to take the S curve out of Julian in North San Pedro. And it was a pretty fun meeting. I can't tell you all that was said in the meeting, but it was Harry's vision that we move forward with that project. It took many years to happen, and I think it was just really fitting that Richard Keat actually got to finish that project up before a longtime RDA employee got to finish that project up before he retired. And that was one of Harry's visions for the city to restore the grid pattern there in North San Pedro. So Harry was a great guy to work with, did a lot of great for this city, and it's very sad to see him go.
Thank you, Dave. Councilmember Camus.
Thank you, Mayor. And the city has lost, a lot of its great leaders here in this year. It's been a tough year for our city with and I got to know Harry on a social level. My kids and his kids went to school together, and I got to know him. In fact, we attended occasionally. When I do attend church, I attend St. Basil, and I'm Greek Orthodox as he is, and so we shared that as well. I've always counted on his advice. I came to him for advice every now and then, and I tell you, it struck me horribly when I found out of his passing. Just a week ago, I had talked to him about a project in my own district on a Starbucks. My heart goes out to his family and his children. May God rest his soul, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Councilmember Camus. And to Olga and the family, our heart goes out to you. I just wanted to add on to what Dave said. I love that he mentioned that it was a straightening out of the S curve, because that was an obsession of Harry's, which I was, I can't, it was very instructive for me, because what Harry was so passionate about was how the pedestrian, how our residents encountered our city. And he knew that with these fast moving cars and S curves going through our downtown, we'd never have a vibrant downtown where people would feel comfortable walking, engaging in what's wonderful about urban communities. And so it is wonderful now, as we see his work has come to fruition. I think our the first downtown neighborhood that we've been building in probably many decades is well underway as a result of all that work. And for Harry, it was always about what we could do for the next generation. So we are certainly blessed by his leadership and by his service. All right. With that, then we have a motion for orders of the day. Let's vote.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Peralez,
Aye.
Dip,
Aye.
Crosco,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Aye.
Foley, Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to the closed session report, Nora.
There's nothing to report out of closed session today. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on the consent agenda, please raise your hands if you want to pull any items from consent. I have Councilmember Arenas would like to pull item 2.9. Councilmember Jimenez would like to pull item 212. Are there any other items to be pulled? I'm not seeing any at this time. And so why don't we go first to item, let's see here. Let's go first to public comment on consent. I'm sorry, there seems to be a problem with the device.
Want me to call them out, Mayor?
Yes, if you could. Mr. Beekman? Mr. Beekman? Nope. Okay.
Hi. Hello, is my mic on?
Yes, it is. Welcome.
Okay, great, thank you. Can you start the timer over again?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. To speak to item 2.2 and finalizing ordinances at this time of COVID-19 will hopefully be only for another year and a half until the summer of 2022. Recently, California State AB 3088 can only function with much work and action at the local level. A thank you to the current help from the city of San Jose with small local businesses. David Chu, Ash Kalra, and other assembly persons of the SF Bay Area worked much this past summer to create a simple funding system where owners could be offered a guarantee on their mortgages and bills. From this, tenants would then not have to be harassed or sued, and would also be offered their own rights and guarantees. This would be a plan available to owners and tenants alike of small businesses and apartment dwellings. From the meaningful work of assembly persons this past summer, I hope we can all make the efforts to expand the ideas and purpose of AB 3088 this fall. In this time of COVID-19, I hope we can see the work of other cities and counties around the Bay Area and around the country and take to heart what is possible to work towards at this time. With item 2.11, as many will be finding some important assurances with each other at the National Night Out of October 6th and what a police department can currently offer community. I hope this can also begin to better allow and understand more open-minded community intentions and purposes at this time. Thank you for what was simply a very important T&E meeting yesterday that shared the future plans of environmental sustainability and renewable community energy for San Jose. We are at a time of important lessons how local communities can more genuinely coordinate and work to define the future of positive sustainability, accountability, care, and the ideas of peace and healing. And to conclude, a reminder that the commission process of 2.10 is a very good way to develop community involvement. Thank you.
Thank you. Tessima Whitmancy?
Yes, thank you. I guess the timer is not up, just so you know. And then the hand is going down a lot. So I really think you need to, notate when we have our hand up to just say that that's there and then you come back to us. So I'd appreciate if you start my time again, because this is about bookkeeping and I'm not seeing the time on the screen. And so could you start the time over for my comments?
I believe the timer's been on the screen.
Well,
So-
I don't see it, so I'm not seeing it. And so basically, the issue that I'm addressing is the lack of accountability of our council members. When my council member Deb Davis can ignore me on a virtual communication that we have with her. And when we have virtual, like that beautiful song that those people were singing and the money that's going towards our council, there has to be accountability. And that none of you are doing group meetings to talk to your residents. And then Deb Davis can ignore me even when I come to her meetings. We need accountability. And that's a real big problem because we are here as the public to inspire you. I talk for the science and she is not listening. And this cannot be put aside as that's not accountable. We need meetings for our community that are accountable to us. None of you do that. Well, that's not true. Raul Perales sits around and we talk. We cannot have council members who ignore their residents. We need protocols, even for you, Mayor, that you meet with us and talk to us. This is not happening in our city, and it's very unconscionable. And we need to fix that. Just like I hear that council members don't pass on the information from one council to another. This can't go on. And especially that council members in our virtual world can ignore citizens that come. This cannot go on without some.
Thank you. Kevin Chrisman, you had your hand up and then it went back down. Did you still want to speak?
Yes, it's mainly a question because I didn't hear about it. It looks to me like 10.1, is that still on the consent calendar or is that going to be open for public discussion?
It'll come up later during our discussion development consent.
So it will be open for the public to speak on.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be, yes. So please raise your hand at that time. It'll come up in the order it's on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. All right. Returning now to council on item 2.9, Councilmember Arenas would like to pull that item. It's Bullying Prevention Month. Councilmember Arenas.
It is, Mayor. Thank you so much. I wanted to kick off this month by raising some awareness as October being the Anti-Bullying Prevention Month. And so we have a video from Principal Gina Fierro from Carolyn Clark Elementary. And I want to thank my colleagues who put their background to share a bit of awareness on this as well. And Carolyn Clark, what they do is they participate in YMCA's Project Cornerstone ABC program. And for many of you already know that that's the Asset Building Champion program, and it's parent engagement. It develops social emotional learning, which is really important in today's world. We're all sheltered in place and we are living remotely, if you will, and connecting remotely, doing business and going to the doctors remotely. And so our children are finding themselves online even more now than ever and are vulnerable to bullying. And so we want to create some awareness about that and recognize, and for those of you who are parents who have children in your lives, to care for them and to make sure that they have a balance and that they don't feel even more isolated now that we are all sheltered in place and away from everyone else and from the normal support systems that they would find in schools and programs and classes that they would typically go to. And so it's up to us as adults to sit and lead by example and let them know that there's caring folks like ourselves who can help them and support them. And so we need to do that with our schools, the children in our lives. We have to play that role for them. And so I want to propose a challenge to all of you. So for Bullying Prevention Month, I'm going to ask you to share a video where you display an act of kindness to a friend, a family member, a neighbor, and then use the hashtag D8 Bullying Prevention Month. I know that's a really long hashtag. Find your own hashtag if you like, but or go to our social media. You can just copy and paste. The point is, together, that we can really make a dent in this culture now that we're all living in this cyber world together. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember go ahead. I'm sorry. Why don't you play the video? I'm sorry. I saw someone had their hand up, but we'll go to the video first. Thank you, Councilmember.
Hello, I'm Gina Fierro, proud principal at Carolyn Clark Elementary School in the Evergreen School District. At Carolyn Clark, we work with Project Cornerstone. Project Cornerstone is celebrating 20 years of helping youth in Silicon Valley feel valued, respected, and known. Their programs and services focus on the 40 developmental assets. They help individuals and communities build a web of support around young people so that they grow into healthy, caring, and responsible adults. A component of Project Cornerstone is the ABC Reader Program. Our very own parent volunteers are asset building champions. They lead this program. The volunteers are trained in the developmental assets model for positive youth development. One of the goals is to help students develop skills to handle physical, verbal, relational, and digital bullying, and to be an upstander if they ever see someone else being bullied. Since October is National Bullying Prevention Month, our ABC readers will be reading the book, My Secret Bully. My Secret Bully is about a little girl named Monica who is a target of relational aggression, emotional bullying among friends who will use name-calling and manipulation to humiliate and exclude. But with a little help from a supportive adult, her mother, Monica learns to cope and thrive by facing her fears and reclaiming power from her bully. In addition to the ABC Reader program, I will be talking to my students about the impact bullying has during my weekly morning messages. We are all called to take action at the local level to create safe and supportive schools. So I challenged my students to think of ways to make our school safe and supportive for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rennes. Councilmember Perales?
Yeah, sorry, my comment wasn't on this. It was just to ensure that we could pull 10.1 from consent. I know last week we did it in the evening agenda, but I don't know. If we needed to do it now. I just wanted to make that clear. Thanks.
Okay, yeah, we'll take that up as an ordinary item in the numerical order. Thank you, Councilmember. All right, then we'll move on to item 2.12, and I believe Councilmember Jimenez, you had pulled this item, is that right?
I did. I wanted to speak on arteriovenous malformation awareness month, and we have a wonderful young speaker that's going to be giving us a few words about this. Give me 1 second. Sorry. And so Mariah Fisher, District 2 resident, is a youth ambassador for the Aneurysm and AVM Foundation. At her young age of 14, Mariah is a fighter and a survivor. For the last 2 years, she has known resilience in overcoming a severe condition known as arteriovenous malformation rupture. AVM, give me a second, I have allergies. Hold on. All right, here we go. So for the last 2 years, she has shown resilience in overcoming a severe condition known as arteriovenous malformation rupture. AVM is a severe condition that can result in permanent brain damage and death. An estimated 18 in 100,000 people in the United States have an AVM in the brain, but due to lack of awareness and research, few people know about AVM. Education and awareness are needed to determine the causes, discover better treatment options, and find a cure for AVM. Increased public awareness is necessary so that individuals can recognize symptoms and understand options. That is why I'm so proud to present today's proclamation in honor of Arteriovenous Malformation Awareness Month And sorry about that. And to share a little bit about that, Mariah is going to be sharing a few words. And Mayor, I believe she is on the call.
Wonderful. Welcome, Mariah.
Hi,
Hi, Mariah. Welcome.
thank you for having me. At the beginning of 7th grade, 2 years ago, my voice became slurred. My friend realized that something was wrong. My mom took me to the ER. As we were driving, I was extremely tired. I thought, that's weird. This fatigue must have nothing to do with my slurring of words. My mom ran into the ER. I opened the door and fell. Then I passed out. I was experiencing a pediatric stroke caused by an arteriovenous malformation, or an AVM. An AVM is a tangle of veins and arteries that can bleed at a higher rate than normal ones. It left me with aphasia, low energy, central pain syndrome, partial paralysis, and a movement disorder. With lots of hard work, I am improving a lot. So remember, a stroke can happen at any age. Thank you for sharing my proclamation.
Thank you, Mariah. Thank you for sharing, and good luck to you. Councilmember Jimenez?
Oh, Mayor, I apologize. I needed my inhaler and I'm having a few issues, but thank you so much for entertaining us. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you again, Mariah. All right. We now have, I think all of the items on consent have been considered. Is there a motion?
So
Move
moved.
to approve? Or I'll second?
I think that was Councilmember Foley made the motion. Is that right?
Yes, yes, it was.
Okay. And I believe, okay, great. And Councilmember Esparza was a second. Let's vote. Oh, I'm sorry. There's someone who just raised their hand. I'm not able to see who the hand.
That's Woodman. See who already spoke.
Oh, I believe, yes, she spoke. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, Jimenez,
Yes.
Morales,
Aye.
Yep,
Aye.
Crosco,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is the report of the city manager. Dave?
Thank you, Mayor. Have no report today.
Thank you. Item 3.3 is report on request for proposals for citywide janitorial services. There is a presentation.
Yes, there is. This is Julia Cooper. Do you see the screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. This first time I've done it by myself. So, I'm Julia Cooper. I'm the Director of Finance. Unfortunately, Jennifer Chang can't be with us today, but I do want to acknowledge that all of her hard work and the purchasing team in bringing this forward to the council today in terms of our citywide janitorial services. We also have a number of other staff members you can see on the slide there that are available to answer any questions you have may have specifically around service delivery as we get to the end of the presentation. So let's see, how do I'm trying to click to the next slide. There we go. So as background, in 2011, the council awarded 5 separate agreements to GSA Services for janitorial services through a competitive RFP process. They included services for the airport, the Office of Cultural Affairs, Parks and Rec, Public Works, and Environmental Services. In September of 2017, ABM Industries purchased GSA and assumed all the responsibility for the agreements. In October of last year, the council approved a 1-year extension to the agreements, and those current agreements expire on October 31st. We issued the RFP in June of this year, and it consisted of 5 separate packages, as you can see there: airport, Office of Cultural Affairs for public art, Parks and Rec for the park restrooms, Public Works for City Hall, libraries, community centers, and police facilities, and then ESD for the regional wastewater facility. Proposers could submit responses for any or all packages, and each package will result in a separate agreement. 57 companies reviewed the RFP. 7 proposals were received prior to the submission deadline. ABM Industries, the current incumbent, failed to submit a response by the RFP deadline. So the evaluation process was evaluated and scored by a 4-member team with representatives from Airport, Parks and Rec, Public Works, and ESD. Public Works manages the agreement for the Office of Cultural Affairs, and they participated as a subject matter expert. Additional subject matter experts reviewed and provided feedback to the evaluation team. There was a vendor demonstration for Package A, which is the airport, and a best and final offer was conducted for Package E, which was for ESD. All the other proposals were awarded based on their submission and their written proposals. So before you today, you have 5 awards are recommended to 4 different vendors. No protests were received during the protest period. So let's see, in terms of the proposer responses, each was evaluated independently. And this table provides the proposer responses. So as you can see, multiple vendors responded to multiple packages. 4 companies applied for and earned the local business preference for their written response. And per the meeting code, in order to get that, you have to have a valid San Jose business tax certificate and have a local office within Santa Clara County. So our recommendations are for the airport, Flagship Facilities, for the Office of Cultural Affairs, Pride Industries, for PRNS, Epic Group Incorporated, for Public Works, Pride Industries, and for ESD, Universal Building Services Supply. So in terms of each agreement is a separate agreement and will be managed by the departments that are responsible for overseeing the services. So the total 1-year not to exceed value is just over $13 million. And you can see it spread out there among the various 5 packages. The agreements and services are scalable based on actual use of services. And we think this is a really important kind of change in the summary of the agreement, so that right now, as you know, we have less service demand. So we'll just pay for the services as they're given. So the modified scope reflect current janitorial needs. It's a not to exceed, as I mentioned, fixed pricing for initial 1-year term with the services based on actual compensation based on the actual services provided. We also have up to 9 1-year options to extend the agreements, with price adjustments to be considered by the city upon request, but not to exceed 3% unless the living and or prevailing wage increases by more than 3%. Additionally, there's an employee retention, so that awarded contract vendors are required to provide a continuation of services by retaining employees of the city's current janitorial services contractor. So with that, the approval of the recommendation will ensure ongoing janitorial services to provide clean and well-maintained and safe facilities for our employees and the public. So with that, we're open to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Julia. Okay, we will go to the public now for public comments on this item, which is a request for proposal on citywide janitorial services. Tessa Woodmansee.
Very good. I can see my time. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. So, we're really dealing with the fundamentals of how we're spending our money. You're talking about janitorial services, anything that we do. And being that we are in, as the science is saying, at the state of extinction, we have some very, very serious problems that we are dealing with. And, janitorial and all the issues, this whole meeting is being paid for by the taxpayer. Everything we're doing is the taxpayer. And to have our council member, Deb Davis, to ignoring our city, this is a really serious problem that we have no voice. And this is where people are very frustrated, and people are attacking Mayor Liccardo's house because they feel like they can't be heard. And this is what's happening. And so we have to really, this is so fundamental. And then you ignore me. There's no response. I called the city manager and asked him to call me. He did not call me back. So how are we going to get our voice to be heard when we're at the end of almost going extinct, when our city council member has no comeuppance that she can ignore her citizenry. So we have to have it into the system for everything that we do. It has to be engineered. We have to engineer that the city council members must spend time in a vision. You know, now we're in a virtual world, that we all sit around a table and discuss these things, and we can see each other and look at each other. And that's what accountability is. That's where frustration and violence doesn't come. But Deb Davis isn't doing that. And there needs to be accountability. And I need you to get back to me. I can't have this just going, that I have to spend my time, my day to address this, and you can ignore it. This is very critical. And like they do at the school board, I want a response back from you, my leadership, that I'm paying to run my city, that I need to have a voice. The people need a voice, and we're not getting that from Deb Davis.
Ms. Woodmansee. All right, back to the council. Councilmember Jimenez.
Thank you so much, Mayor. So I just had a question. So I'm going to move approval of this. So certainly, if there's a second, we can move that forward. But one of the broader questions I had.
Second.
Thank you. I guess that could be for Julia. Is what I'm wondering is what I experienced recently as it relates to some of the employees here at City Hall is that I think it was under ABM, they had approached me, and I'm sure they maybe have conversations with other council members or folks around City Hall. But what I'm wondering is, obviously, they have representation. I think it's SEIU that represents most of them, and they're at different parts of the city. But when issues arise as it relates to the contracts, or some of the employees have concerns about not being heard and things of that nature, is there a mechanism within these contracts in which the city can sort of, I don't know if intervene is the right word, but I'm just curious as the role of the city when some of these contracts are in effect, and there's some issues as it relates to some of the employees and the folks that we've given contracts to. So, for example, Pride, for example.
So, I'm going to let Fletcher in our purchasing division he's on the phone as well, and he's been negotiating the agreements, and he can talk about the specific provisions that employees of the contractors can have in terms of going forward. But the individual departments do manage the agreements with the vendors. So Fletcher, can you?
Yeah, for sure. Hello. Hi, nice to meet everyone. So we do have provisions in the agreements that follow a lot of other council policies. So like the living wage policy, we have language in there talking about OEA and contact information for OEA if there's issues regarding items like that. So for a more in-depth approach, I'm not sure if Chris Hickey wants to tune in and provide some more information there sort of on that process. But we do have provisions in the agreement for them to reach out if there are issues there.
Okay, and then since other departments the different departments manage these contracts, I would assume some of the council policies that exist provide that uniformity across departments as the way they're managed, I assume?
Yes, and I think Chris can help answer those questions in his role.
Yes, hi, Chris Hickey, Public Works. Thank you for the question, council member. Yes, so all of the contracts and agreements will have living wage policies attached to it. So there is a retention policy. There is the guidance if any contractor feels that their wages are not being provided to them adequately or timely, they can contact our office, which they have done frequently, just to discuss, annual wage increases and whatnot. And my staff works with them consistently. So actually, prior to this meeting, some of the janitorial staff had contacted compliance coordinator in our office to make sure that they were on the retention list, to make sure that these new vendors will be able to contact them for future employment.
Okay. I guess I understand these employees have representatives, right? Again, through SEIU, I believe. And so, and I realize that the employees are in fact the folks that are cleaning the offices, for example, are in fact employees of these of the businesses that we're contracting with, right? So they aren't necessarily direct reports to the city. So just to give you an example, some of the things that have come up for me is that there was a sense amongst, I would say some, not all, some janitorial staff that they felt intimidated, or even some were scared to file workers' comp claims and things of that nature. And so when those, and that's within these different companies, right? So when those complaints or concerns exist, I guess I'm just curious if they complain directly to, say, ABM, right, which is phasing out, how does the city make sure that ABM is sort of being receptive to the folks that they've hired, right? I guess that's what I'm curious about.
That's a very good question, council member. So first and foremost, every employees for ABM, the previous vendor, they have the opportunity to either go through their labor unions to try to exercise their rights, or they can come to the Public Works Office of Equality Assurance and file a completely confidential complaint. They can talk to us. At no point in time will we give any identifying information about the individual who's made the complaint, or even asked for information. And it's really city staff at that point that will be that middle person between that worker or the worker whole and that vendor. And so if there is a union labor group that we need to work with, my staff will 100% work with them, ensuring that all workers are paid fairly, that they can exercise their rights immediately, and that those vendors will be, they will actually, sorry, loss of words, and I too, council member, have a little bit of a dry throat. That the vendors will actually be able to work with us to ensure that those rights and wages are paid. Also, we do have the ability to withhold payment should a vendor not be forthcoming with that information, or not be able to allow those workers those rights. So hopefully that answers your question.
So just so I understand, so if I'm a janitor at City Hall and I feel like something's going on, or I feel mistreated, whatever it may be, right? I can go directly to the Office of Equality Assurance and file an anonymous complaint, right?
That is correct.
Okay, all right. And so would you say that, would you say that responsibility in informing that janitor that works for X company who is hired by the city, that obligation to inform the janitor or these employees of their ability to do so, would you say that's the responsibility of the city or the contractor who we're giving the contract to? Or even the union, right? I don't know. I'm just trying to.
All three, to be very, very quick with that response. All three. The vendor should be telling their employees, should you have any complaints, or you have any issues revolving your work with us as your employer, please come to us, and they should have that open door type of policy. The unions also have the ability that they should be working with their clients to be able to allow them to make those types of complaints. And then same with the City of San Jose's Office of Quality Assurance. Staff should be having those conversations when we are back in the office, being able to have those conversations, ensuring that they are being paid properly, that everything is going well at the airport, at our community centers, as well as at City Hall. And to my point before, we actually, prior to this meeting, my staff was notified and had communications with some of our City Hall janitorial staff to kind of discuss what the changes are, what was happening today at council, and so forth, trying to help them through that process.
All right, very good. And okay, so those are all my questions, but I just think it's important, as we're contracting out some of this work, and I'd like to think, I've talked to the union representatives. They've stated that many of these companies who are getting the contracts are responsive and have a good track record of doing right by their employees, which is great to hear. I just, I don't want the voices of the workers, right, to get lost. And I understand that the union provides that megaphone for them to a certain extent, but their ability to just and to know, even in different languages, right, Spanish, Vietnamese, or whatever it may be, that they could come forward and file an anonymous complaint. I think that's important. So thank you for the information. I appreciate it. And that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Rennes.
Thank you. I had a question about Why is it that, do we know why ABM didn't respond to our RFP?
They didn't respond timely. So it had a specific date and time that it was due, and they didn't respond by the time.
So it wasn't out of a lack of interest, it was
No, it
lack
was,
of.
they failed to file on time.
Oh, I see. I imagine, like any other business, that they are also faltering during this time. Did we give them any support to allow for them to continue on, or is that something that's just really on them
Yeah.
to
I mean,
comply with?
it's a competitive request for proposal process, so all the vendors are on a level playing field with respect to responding to the RFP.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. And I'm guessing they were given the information in time and all of that.
Yes, the information was posted on the city's Bindingo, which is our process for disseminating RFPs. And there, I believe, Fletcher, there was some outreach ahead of time that it was coming as well.
Yeah. So there is outreach. We also have reminders in the system that notifies them a little bit ahead of the due date to let them know that the bid due date's coming up and to prepare your response. So they receive multiple notifications during the bidding process of when it's posted, when the bid's ending, and then a reminder as well to respond. Yeah.
And did they originally submit their bid through Biddingo, or would this be a new process for them?
So yeah, the Bidingo system is relatively new to the city. It's been instituted, I think, roughly about a year or so ago. So I'm not sure, on their end if they have. I can't speak to what prior experience they have with the system.
Yeah, my concern is that that if a contractor that we were employing, or that we had a contract with, didn't go through the same process that they might have originally gone through, that there was some additional need to provide that technical support, being that we're all doing things very differently now, and I'm sure that Bindingo allows for this process to be facilitated a lot quicker without any like in-person meetings. I just would like to see if I think that I hear you saying, Fletcher, that there was some consideration in terms of outreach and letting people know personally, and not relying just on a system to alert our contractors that this RFP is up, that they might have gotten correspondence in the mail, that there was some other more traditional means of connecting with folks rather than just please go to our Biddingo. And am I saying that right? Biddingo, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was. It's pretty hilarious to say. So I'm just hoping that maybe as we go through some of these other RFPs, these competitive RFPs, and we're looking at folks who are going to reapply, but their original application was very different, and that they could actually come to City Hall and maybe have an in-person meeting, or have a different kind of technical assistance that we might be able to provide to them right now at this point, just so that we don't lose some folks who might be local, folks who might be really small business owners. These are the folks that I'm thinking that probably wouldn't be maybe have the same capacity as maybe another very well-established business. And so it's just something that I'm thinking about as we're moving forward to consider some of those ways that we've done outreach in the past that worked and that might work for small business owners that we could employ once again. So that was one piece. The second piece is the transition. So this is one of the things I was really concerned about, and I'm glad you covered it. There is a transition plan actually for a lot of the employees who've been retained by ABM or who were employed by ABM to now transition to the new contractor. And do we have an expectation that 80% of employees from ABM who were contracted would then transition over? Is there like a minimum requirement? Because they could say, well, you know, we transitioned to folks and that's it. Is there kind of a minimum that they needed to meet?
Yes, I can answer that. Thank you, council member. Yes, there is a section in the living wage policy that outlines the requirements. It actually puts a whole seniority list together. And so the vendors actually have to combine the previous ABM employees who have been at least on the payroll for the past 90 days against their own employee list. And so then they have to just go purely based off of seniority on that. So I can't say, for example, exactly what these vendors will do, but there's going to be a very, very high percentage of employees who were working under ABM who will also fall under the current contracts with these multiple vendors.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I'm glad that you put that in and took into account some of the employees who, you know, to no fault of their own, they're just employed by a company, would be able to count on a job. As we all know, it's difficult out there. And as we move forward, like I said, in other contracts that we look at maybe a minimum in terms of, I know that we don't have a lot of contracted out positions, but when we do, that we take a look at maybe some minimums, and that we consider some of those, the traditional forms of outreach, at least maybe phone calls as being probably the most traditional. Everybody nowadays sends texts, right? Email is a thing like a letter sent in the U.S. mail almost, right? Things are just done more immediate nowadays, but there's folks who own businesses or small business owners who might just still feel more comfortable in person or other forms of just traditional technical assistance. So those are just two items that I wanted you all to consider as we're looking at small businesses and renewing some of those contracts. So thank you for the great work. I look forward to hopefully continuing to see some of the same faces that we see here at City Hall once they transition over to the new contractor. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Councilmember. And I should note that certainly with regard to the folks who have been serving in City Hall, I've noticed nothing but excellent performance, and I'm really grateful for their work, particularly during this very difficult time throughout the COVID period. They've continued to clean and ensure that the building is safe for those who are returning to work. All right, I think we have a motion. Is that right, Councilmember Jimenez? We do. Okay, let's vote.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Perez,
Aye.
Diep,
Aye.
Go,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
and Ricardo.
Aye. Thank you. Item 3.4 relates to the
Thank you.
vacation of Marburg Way. I don't believe there's any presentation. Is there, Dave?
No, there's not, Mayor.
Okay. There's no questions from the public on vacation of Marburg Way. So return to council. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, let's vote.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Perez,
Aye.
Diep,
Aye.
Carrasco,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye. Okay, let's talk pigs. We're on to 4.1. which is an urgency regular ordinance to control the feral pig population. Dave, is there a presentation on this one?
There's not a presentation, Mayor. Staff is here for questions.
Okay.
I will note that we did issue a supplemental memo. Just want to make sure the council has that information.
That was the one submitted yesterday, October 5th, and then there's another one, I think, on October 2nd. Is that right?
Yes, and Matt Kano from Public Works and Jay are our points on this issue.
Okay. All right, Matt, did you want to say anything about that supplemental before we go to the public?
Sure. Thank you, Matt Kano, Director of Public Works, and Jay Torado, Deputy Director of Public Works over Animal Services, is joining me, and Chief Dave Tyndall from the Police Department will likely be joining us as well. Yeah, thank you for giving the opportunity to speak on the supplemental memo. After Rules Committee last Wednesday, we did a little bit more internal discussion, and this is something that in order to support this from the administrative side, or to recommend supporting it, there's further internal discussion we would like to have in order to determine what parameters we would like in place to ensure safety if it is allowed to use bow and arrows outside for untrapped feral pigs. And so we would need a little bit of time on this, and that's why we are recommending not approving it today at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Let's go to the public. Tessa Woodmansee.
Good, thank you. Okay, let's see. Thank you so much. The role, I'm trying to get to my screen here. Yeah, the role of a representative is to listen, collate, and communicate the views of all the constituents they represent. Listen, collate, and communicate the views of this constituents. And yes, this is a big problem with the pigs and how we're gonna have public safety, and we have to listen to the science. And that's what we really have to start doing, is listening to the science instead of listening to our politicians. That's where the politicians have to listen to the science. And here's an example with, how we're gonna, kill pigs. And, there's so many issues that we're having to deal with now. And so what we've come from COVID-19 and climate crisis is we have to listen to the science. And when our representatives are not listening to us, we have got to get that in. We have to create our democracy where the public's voice is what you're supposed to be about. And so when we have public comment at the end of our meeting, like last meeting, where you just gave us 30 seconds at the end because everybody's tired at midnight, this is an example of structural problems. And that's what I'm asking for, is the structural communication to our representatives that we're not getting. We're not getting that. This is a fundamental, and this is about our, we're paying for all this that's happening today. Everything that's happening today, we as taxpayers are paying for. And yet structurally, a council member like Deb Davis can ignore me, say I'm not there at her meeting because it's virtual. So we have to, the virtuality of it is going to have to show that we have to implement structures that include the public. You say no bullying. She has it on her sign. Bullying starts with me. And yet that's how I feel. I feel ignored. And when city council, when people come to the VTA meeting and Cindy Chavez only lets 30 of the 60 people there, that means we're being ignored. She's not doing her job. Her job is to listen to us. And we need to have that.
Thank you. Peter Donato.
Yes, thank you very much. I was shocked and dismayed when I saw this proposal. I would simply ask each and every one of you to imagine what it feels like to be shot with an arrow. It is a cruel, torturous death. If you think about it, I think you'll agree with me. These sentient animals, as annoying as they may be, are intelligent enough to avoid your traps. So they have a level of intelligence that is impressive. And I just find it incomprehensible that people want to shoot them with an arrow. Please think about this. Killing an animal with an arrow is absolutely cruel torture. Surely you can find another way to trap these animals, surely you must find another way that is not cruel in killing them. Please consider what it feels like to be shot with an arrow. We really don't need to do this. It's just plain ugly and wrong.
And it degrades us all.
And it degrades us all. Thank you very much for your time. I'm done.
Thank you. The person with the phone number ending 6262.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This is Roland Lebrun, South San Jose. As some of you and Matt know, I live right across the street from Santa Teresa Park, and I really miss the wildlife, including a flock of wild turkeys and an entire family of pigs who never harmed anybody. I would like to touch on three things today. First, double standards. I was under the impression that the city was in support of preserving Coyote Valley as a wildlife corridor between the Santa Cruz Mountains and the Diablo Range. So why are we exterminating wildlife instead of using Measure T to acquire this golf course and returning it back to wildlife? Second, the gentleman who is proposing to use a bow and arrow is actually going to use a crossbow, which is just as deadly as a high-power rifle with a silencer. So the ultimate objective here is really to perform these activities undercover without being heard. As an example, I once had to call the police when I found a crossbow arrow tip lodged in my front yard fence, approximately 6 feet from one of my daughter's bedroom windows. We never heard a thing other than deer, turkeys, and occasionally wild pigs frequenting our front yard, and they were welcome. And last but not least, I encourage you to watch Elon Musk's Neuralink presentation on YouTube. We should give you a different perspective on pigs and their intelligence when compared to that of human beings. Thank you.
Thank you. The person with the caption, call in user 1.
You know, these pigs are not indigenous to this area. They're feral pigs. They got out, and they now cause a lot of havoc, and they kill other indigenous wildlife and people. And if you think you're going to shoot them with an arrow, if you miss and that boar charges you, it's going to kill you. I knew a man who was killed by hunting a wild boar. And if you're going to do it right, you should get dogs. There's plenty of pit bulls in this town. You know, just give them pounds. Get some pit bulls, and you corral the pig, and you can either, you know, stab them with a spear or shoot them with a bow and arrow or a pistol or whatever. But if you're a person with an arrow, if you're really serious about doing this, right? I mean, there's all these people who feel bad for the pig. It's horrific. It's not nice. But they proliferated too much. And if you ask any Native American people about wild pigs, they hated them because the Spanish, they drop off the pigs and to be able to hunt them and eat them in the future. Well, they caused a lot of havoc to Native American crops. Just here in California, I read a lot of books about Native American people, as the topic of today, Indigenous Peoples Day. I call it Columbus Day, by the way. I still call it. I'm going to celebrate Columbus Day. Anyway, it's another story. Yeah, if you want to remove the pigs for real, you're not going to trap them. They are smart. But like I say, it's time to hunt them and eat them, and have a big carnitas taco day, like one of the council members talked about the other day, last week. That'd be a great idea. I don't see why not. And yeah, I mean, once again, they're not indigenous to here, and they cause harm to indigenous species that are here, and they can be deadly. They're not meant to be wild. These are.
Thank you. Timothy Gall.
Yes, my name's Timothy Gall. I've done a little bit of research. In 2018 to 2019, Department of Fish and Wildlife has only licensed 101 state licensed trappers. So very few people do this kind of work. Myself, I have 20 years of law enforcement experience, 3 years with the Secret Service, 18 months with San Francisco PD Airport, and a little over 15 years with San Jose. I am currently specially licensed with a federal firearms license, and I have insurance. I know many of you have questions about fencing and stuff around the golf courses or private properties. The golf course has extensive fencing, and the pigs are still getting in. I also realize that Public Works believes there needs to be more conversation about this. And I agree that archery equipment could get the job done, and the equipment nowadays is much better than what it was when I was 13, 14 years old when I got into archery. I currently have 2 patents on archery products, and I have hunted with a gentleman that has a world record in archery, and hunting pigs at night is extremely difficult. I would like to answer any additional questions that you may have of trying to take animals. Archery is one of the approved methods by the Department of Fish and Wildlife. The success rate would be very low, but it could be done. I believe firearm use, especially on the east side of Coyote Creek, would be better, and it can be done safely and more effectively and efficiently. If you have any questions, please ask away, and I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you. Mr. Beekman?
Hi, you first brought this item to Rules and Open Government a week or 2 ago. And I think the person who just spoke, I think he spoke at that time too. And it gave me the idea that, you know, you're trying to figure out a way to do this really mellow. And you don't want prolific gun use going on basically in this instance. And you kind of want to find ways to create a cooperative effort with the community. So, I mean, I had the thought that maybe you can hire like the person who just was called or some sort of hunter, trapper, bounty person, you know, 1 or 2 of them to do, you know, the real hard work and then set up a cooperative effort.
Mr. Beekman, your device appears to be muted right now, so we're not able to hear you. Mr. Beekman, I believe your device is still muted. We're not able to hear you right now. Mr. Beekman, I think you need to unmute your device. Okay, I think we've lost him. I suspect that we lost the signal. Okay, returning then to the council. Mr. Beekman, if you get your signal back, we'll take you up after the council discussion. Councilmember Jimenez?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate all the comments that were made. And Roland, I didn't know that, you know, about the arrow situation. And I know you live up against Foothill. Sorry to hear about that. Just a few things. You know, I did a little bit of research. This is all, you know, as you all imagine, are not a very common item. I know Councilmember Camus took this up some time back, but I want to read to you a little bit about what I found. And part of that is that the feral swine population in the U.S. is at about 9 million. And they've gone from about 17 states to being in about 39 states. And the U.S. Department of Agriculture actually referred to the issue as a feral swine bomb because of the quick way that they multiply. And the amount of damage that they've caused in the U.S. has been estimated to be worth about $2.5 billion in damage. And so, you know, I think it's an issue. Obviously, we're dealing with much more important issues in our society and our city, but I think it's something worth taking on. And that is one of the reasons I joined Councilmember Camus in drafting the memo, the urgency ordinance. You know, we've heard from folks from Coyote Creek Golf Club, but I know folks in the Silver Creek Country Club out in District 8 have had similar types of issues. This has been going on for years. And so I also am aware that staff obviously submitted a supplemental memorandum citing some concerns that have been expressed by the police department, which I think seem fair and legit, and I think it's worthwhile to think those through. And so with that, what I'll just ask, I have a few questions. The first one is to Matt Kano from Public Works. Matt, I'm curious, how long do you think it's going to take to go back and just think this through a little bit more deeply and come back with the recommendation or approval of this?
That's a tough question to answer, and I'm going to weigh in a little bit and ask Chief Tyndall to weigh in a little bit as well as we figure this out. A lot of it may be based on how much information we can get back from the state regarding the vetting that they do when they issue the permits, and how satisfied we are with that. And so that is one of the factors that if that can be done quickly, then we can get back quicker. And I'd actually, I know I didn't fully answer your question yet, but I'd actually like to ask if Chief Tyndall wants to add anything to that before I come back.
Yeah.
Great, thank you for the question, Acting Assistant Chief of Police Dave Tyndall. So council member, thank you for the question on that. I think it just really depends. I think you've seen the supplemental memo in regards to some of the PD's concerns. Most of them are just revolving around the fact that traps are not being used and the fact that it looks like we're expanding kind of out of more of the rural areas, especially on the Coyote Creek Golf Course, that leaves an opening for more urban areas. And certainly our concerns are in neighborhoods or communication with other law enforcement entities and in communication with the public, as well as the trappers. What are they going to be wearing? When are they going to do it? A lot of different questions. So I would say it's still open right now as far as how long. It really just depends how quickly the questions come back. And when we can formalize the answers to some of the questions we proposed, I think we'll have a better idea on that. I mean, it could be a couple of weeks. It could be a lot shorter than that. It really just depends.
Okay, so I think on the urgency ordinance, it says the expiration date would be 12/31/20, so the end of the year. I suspect that, and I'm not too familiar with whether there's, and I'm going to ask this question to Tim Gall, who's on the call, but I wonder if it takes a month to figure this out, do we then extend the urgency ordinance out, to January, the end of January 2020, right? So I as part of your consideration, I think I'd be interested in learning that a little bit, whether that would be required. The other thing I guess I'm wondering is, and maybe this is for the city attorney's office, but what I'm curious about is in the urgency ordinance, I guess I got to go back and reread it, but I don't think it's specific. It doesn't specify particular areas. So to your point, Chief Tyndall, is essentially we pass this today. I can go hunting with, assuming I have the proper permits with archery equipment in my neighborhood, right? Assuming I see pigs is what you're thinking, right? We're opening up the door essentially is what you're suggesting, right? And so what I'm curious about is, would it be worthwhile specifying locations or geographic areas in which we're allowing this for this temporary sort of time instead of just opening up citywide? Are we able to do that? And again, as someone from the city attorney's office here, I wonder if we can sort of pinpoint where we're allowing this as opposed to saying citywide, go ahead and, have free reign and, take care of these pigs all over the city.
Councilmember, this is Nora. Thank you for the question. The intention was Coyote Creek Golf Course, and that's where we understand the permit is.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's not anywhere in the city.
Okay. All right. So maybe some of the concerns. So Matt and Chief Tyndall, I guess when you guys go back, hopefully that helps sort of narrow sort of where this would take place, right? And I would say, venture out even, Coyote Creek Golf Club, but also Silver Creek Valley Country Club if they have some issues as well. I mean, I guess if we can sort of narrow where this is going to be allowed, if at all possible, I think that'd be great. And if we need to expand one location or two, I think that'd be awesome as well.
Councilmember Jimenez, just in reading what the ordinance was, from my recollection, it did include Coyote, but it also talked about Almaden Valley. So it certainly wasn't specific to that one region. And again, that just causes more concern because really what is a geographical area and or whose jurisdiction does it bound was just another one of the questions that we had.
Yeah. So whether it would involve some county land and the sheriff's office and things of that nature, right?
This is Matt Kano weighing in again. Yeah, Councilmember, if there's further direction to staff it and if there is a desire to bound it to certain areas, that would be helpful for us as we consider options moving forward.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. I mean, that was my thought process, but I understand how it can be interpreted that we're essentially opening this up citywide. So, and I'll make a motion right now, but I also had a question for Tim Gall. I think you're still on the call, Tim, is that correct? Mayor, I'm not sure if I think it's.
I just
it's
unmuted.
Yes, I'm still here.
Yeah, I was wondering, when you're out there doing this work, obviously it seems to me it's going to be done in the cover of night, but any distinguishing uniform markings or anything that you carry with you? I mean, paint for us a picture as to what you're wearing when you're out there, how cautious you are when you're shooting, some of the using the archery equipment and such.
Well, a lot of times I'm using camouflage to try and blend in. On a golf course, there's very little cover. Before any of that activity takes place, whatever jurisdiction has jurisdiction, either the county or many times it's been San Jose City, I contact the bridge and let them know I'm going to be out there. So that way they notify the beat sergeant and the beat officers in the area where I'm going to be doing my euthanizing of pigs. And that's occurred. Like I said, I've killed about 100 pigs within San Jose city limits since the ordinance was originally approved.
Mm-hmm.
And to my knowledge, there's never been an issue or a complaint. My truck is, I have full-size magnets that stick to the doors that are maybe 18, 20 inches tall, 2 feet wide, that are reflective. But again, when I'm out there working, I'm either using a firearm, which has already been approved, or in county areas or other jurisdictions like Las Gatas where archery is approved.
Okay. In the times that you've been out there using archery equipment, what is the protocol as it relates to getting closer to urban settings, say homes or things of that nature, right? If you're up,
well, you always have to have safety as the primary concern. If a pig is doing damage, I understand that's what the client is paying me to do, to remove the pigs, but it's not worth getting anyone hurt by taking a moderate shot. So if I'm not 100% sure I'm going to be able to make the shot accurate and euthanize the animal as quick as possible, I don't take the shot. And again, for vetting, there are only 101 people that have the licenses that I do in the entire state of California.
right? And what's the level of training, or what are the what does one need to have to become a certified trapper?
Just to take the test, they give you a booklet that's almost 300 pages, and then you have to pass a written exam. And I don't recall what the passing score was. I believe it's 80%, but again, don't quote me on that. And once you pass that written exam, then you're certified to purchase the state license. And as long as you continue to purchase it every year, it stays valid. And for my business, I also have insurance. So once I'm hired as a contractor, then the depredation permit is issued by Fish and Wildlife to the landowner or manager. Me as the agent or contractor, I can't get that. So it's every contract or every business that I take on, it's by address because of the depredation permit. So it's not citywide. It's localized to that individual property only.
So let me ask you a question, just because I'm thinking about how this would potentially play out, right? So if that issuance is tied to the property owner, right? Obviously the pigs move, especially with gunshots. I've read that they disperse and they start spreading out a little further and such. But obviously you're tracking down these pigs. They move. You come up to let's just say an invisible line on the property, and it becomes another property. You essentially have to stop there and can't chase them into the other property and can't follow them on the other property.
I don't essentially. I do stop there.
Okay. All right. Okay. So again, it'd be tied directly to that particular property, right?
Yes, and with the firearm inside San Jose city limits, it can only be used with trapped pigs. That's why I approached and am asking for a modification. The pigs are much smarter than what people give them credit for. And there are 2 pigs on the championship course of the golf course that no matter what bait I've used, I even had a partially erected trap and had bait in it, and they just walk right past it. They know the trap is a threat and they won't go near it. And so the delay of approving this is costing the Coyote Creek Golf Course just money and damages.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I had a chance to go out there and tour it personally a few years ago, and just looking at the damage, it's beyond belief, the type of damage that they do. And so I appreciate that. So thank you so much, Tim. Appreciate it.
Happy to answer any other questions.
Okay, thank you. And so Matt, if I'm going to make a motion to, or move to approve this with your recommendation to give you guys time to go back, I mean, that's essentially what it would be, right? I mean,
That sounds correct to me. And if there's further clarification, because my interpretation before was this would apply to any private property within the city as long as someone has a permit. And so if there's clarification, you want direction for it to only apply to certain areas of the city, that would be helpful to understand if that's what you want.
So what I would say is, Coyote Creek Golf Club would be one of the areas, as well as, well, let me make a motion. So I'll move to approve this and give you all time to sort of vet this out and really think through some of the implications of this, and have it be specific to Almaden Valley in coordination with Councilmember Camus's office, Coyote Creek Golf Course. And is it too broad to say South San Jose generally? Matt?
We're just, whatever you want to recommend. I just want to make sure we understand what you're looking for on this one.
So I would say, and I'd be happy to entertain, whatever amendments my colleagues think are necessary, but Coyote Creek Golf Club, Almaden Valley, as well as Silver Creek Valley Country Club. And just to move forward with the urgency ordinance after you all vet out and really think through some of the implications of this. So that's a motion. I don't know if hopefully there's a second.
Second. There's a second, Councilmember Camus. Councilmember Camus?
Yes, thank you. And I don't want to have people having visions of people running around in the city shooting bows and arrows. This is not what we intended from this memo. We're having some significant problems with property damages. These are feral pigs. They're not indigenous, and they actually, the last time we went around, the Sierra Club actually supported this effort to depredation. The county actually used to do a lot more depredation in the past, and they stopped doing it, and that's why we have a huge increase. And when they start running out of water, they actually go into homes. And this isn't Wilbur the pig. These are 400 to 500 pound animals that could charge and hurt people, and sometimes they show up in people's yards. So this is they're dangerous. They breed like crazy. They breed twice a year, and they have litters. And so they're in any case, we have been fairly successful, but we still have issues. And near the golf courses, I have 3 golf courses in my district, and a dump that they gather around. So if we're going to be looking specifically at open, and nobody hires these trappers for their front lawns. Okay. I mean, we're talking about 18-hole golf courses and 600-acre garbage dumps that have that they use trappers. And so if you want, we could, if Councilmember Jimenez wants to narrow the focus to large open spaces like golf courses and garbage dumps, I think people's minds might be at ease. I think the last time we wrote it, it was 150 yards. You can't have a house within 150 yards of where the trap is. So that it really cut down where even the traps to be laid. So in any case, if that helps staff make their decision, please do. I think it's and if you want to do it as a, if we want to do it as a pilot, I'm okay with that as well. But these animals do create a lot of damage and they're dangerous. I want to keep that on. I used to get videos of these animals in people's houses, rummaging through their garbage cans and what have you. So it and their population can't be allowed to multiply and explode. So I'm very supportive of this. I'd rather get something passed today than wait a couple weeks. But if staff needs more time to evaluate it, I'm with that. But if staff takes my advice on if we can, if it would be less objectionable, we can make it in large open spaces like golf courses and garbage dumps, and I think that would take care of most of the complaints that I get from my constituencies.
Thank you. Councilmember Reines?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So sorry about that. So I just wanted to add, and thank you, Councilmember Jimenez, for including the Silver Creek Country Club. I've actually heard more concerns from the villages, and actually in the front lawns of people's homes. So it's not just the actual golf course part of the property, but actually in their front yard. So I'm wondering if maybe we could include the villages as a potential area to look at. I would also say like the meadowlands, because they're pretty ridged up to next to the villages, and I hear it from them as well. But I certainly appreciate you bringing this up. I know that proactively there's things that we can do, such as what you were proposing, and I'm really interested in learning what Matt, what you bring back in terms of analysis. I know that there's still folks who think shooting a pig is much more humane than the crossbow, and then folks think maybe catching the pig, releasing, or I don't know, sending it off to the pig farm, somewhere is also humane. I just, I'm not sure exactly what is the best method, but I'll be supportive of whatever the recommendation comes back, so that we can have some relief for our residents up in the villages and up in the Meadowland area. And like I said, Silver Creek Country Club, I know has had some issues, but I haven't heard from them. What we did have some issues in there was about cows that had come through some fences, and over at the ranch, because there is 3 country clubs that all kind of are in the same vicinity, which is Villages, the ranch, and then Silver Country Club. So anyways, there's definitely an area that they're focused on, and so it would be great to have those areas considered. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sparson?
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a quick question. I know that like BLM and Fish and Game used to, do this where they'd bring in hunters. But I have a question about trapped versus untrapped. Is trapping no longer an option for us as a city? And is that humane?
I'll like to ask Jay Toronto, our Deputy Director, to take the first crack at that question.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council members, and members of the public. Again, Jay Toronto, Deputy Director, Department of Public Works. Currently the mini code talks about or allows for pigs to be trapped within the city limits and be euthanized that way, and it is prohibited to take any pigs or dispatch any pigs that is not trapped, according to the current meeting code. And so really for us in animal services, as far as when you use the word humane, that's really used in terms of euthanizing an animal quickly and not, not making sure that an animal is not suffering. And so, and then I think you could have many different opinions when it comes to what is humane and what is not. And so but specifically for pigs, wild pigs, trapped and untrapped becomes an issue because right now the only allowed act that's allowed in the Muni Code are trapped pigs, and you can euthanize them that way. And it's illegal to take any pig that is not trapped.
And then
And
I
I'd like-
have go ahead.
No, and I just like to add, when we come back, our focus is, although I appreciate all, there was a lot of comments on the humane versus inhumane. We're going to be focusing a lot on the safety of the public regarding untrapped animals being, trying to be caught with bows and arrows. Public safety is what we'll be really focusing our Q&A on internally. So sorry to interrupt you, Councilmember Esparza.
That's okay. And then I have a question for PD. Is there a preference between trapping and not trapping?
Thank you for the question, Councilmember Esparza. Obviously, for us, trapped pigs would be the best for us. It's something that certainly has been done before, and the past urgency ordinances. That was what was talked about and developed for the urgency ordinances. This is obviously one where we're kind of breaking the mold from the past ones, in that we're moving towards an untrapped animal, which is certainly harder to control, and it's harder to hit a moving animal that is obviously moving through the area. So when we start talking about areas that they may still be rural, or let's use, for example, the Coyote Golf Course, they still infringe upon areas that the public travels, whether it be Monterey Highway, Highway 101, residences that are out there. And so when we start talking about or moving forward to things like Meadowlands or Almaden Valley, I mean, certainly if it's done correctly, there's a possibility to get there. It's just a concern of ours for the public safety. And just as Matt just brought up, the public safety aspect of it is with, an errant arrow that misses its target, where does it go? I know there's a misconception out there that arrows only travel so far, but many of them, especially the high-powered ones, go just as far as a round from a rifle or anything else can go. So that is a consideration for us. And then, the likely look at, you may be camouflaged, but if you're out there and even a sheriff's deputy or CHP officer or somebody from the public sees somebody out in this open space, what have we communicated, and what kind of call goes out to law enforcement at that time? Certainly if it's preempted by a call to all those agencies, we can certainly mitigate that at the dispatch standpoint, but just a few more answers as far as the public safety aspect that needs to be answered.
Okay, thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you. Other comments or questions? Well, I appreciate all the information. I know next to nothing about pigs, but we do have a member on our team, our mayoral team, who actually took a class in swine science. So if any of you guys are interested, please reach out to us. The extent of my knowledge comes from my reading, which tells me that dressing up the wolf in the grandma outfit does not work. So anyway, I look forward to this coming back. Is there, I guess we do have a motion from Councilmember Jimenez. So Tony, let's vote.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Morales,
Aye.
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo.
Aye. Okay, thanks everybody. We're on to 5.1, which is the bike plan. And I know we have a presentation. I want to thank John Rusto and his entire team, John Brazil, Ryan Smith, everyone who worked so hard on this. Jessica Zank, really exciting to get to this point. John?
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I'm John Russo,
Director of Transportation. We are actually very pleased to bring you this Better Bike 2025 today. We're really proud of this plan in its way that it's going to transform our city bicycle infrastructure into a safe, connected, convenient system for everyone. We do have a short presentation today, and with me is Ramses Madhu and John Brazil. So Ramses, you want to take it away?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Ramses Madhu, Division Manager of Planning, Policy, and Sustainability in the DOT. So we're really excited, like John said, to bring this forward. This is really a huge mark for us as a DOT in the city in terms of bringing our bike infrastructure and our transportation infrastructure in general and into the world of meeting climate goals and really talking about true mode change. You know, our last bike plan, which was the 2020 plan, was about 11 years old, is one of these plans that actually met its mark. We planned for 400 miles in that plan. And as of the end of this pavement year, which is going on right now, we'll just get just over that mark in terms of the amount of bike miles that we've made in the city. And I think that's just really a huge testament to of course, people in DOT, but honestly, it's the leadership it takes, right? When you're trying to rearrange what's happening in the roadway, there's just a great deal of interests involved, and we really appreciate all the leadership that we've been able to work with to get that done. And we're just looking forward to that next big step and taking that on. Before we dive in, you know, this is a 2-year piece of work that's coming in front of you. I really want to give a shout out to our community-based organizations that work with us, Vivo, Luna, and Vegilution. They worked with us from day one to make this plan reach the widest group of people we possibly could. We're very proud of our outreach, and we'll get into that later. And then I want to thank our consultant team led by Brooke DeVuz at Tool Design Group. They've been an incredible team working tirelessly to make this into a successful plan. So, all right, our last plan brought us a lot of bike lanes that in the way that we understand them, right? This painted side of the road kind of bike lane. And that's given bikes a place in the right of way. But what we've learned is that only certain people will use that kind of facility. It's a limited amount of people who will actually go out and ride their bike next to cars. And so to get beyond that, we had to come up with a broader vision for the problem we were trying to solve in this plan, right? So the vision for this plan is to create a bike system for people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds, right? So they feel safe and comfortable biking anywhere in San Jose. This is a pretty bold goal and really required some hard thinking as to how we might get there. You know, and these are really critical pieces to emphasize, right? All ages, abilities, and backgrounds. We want people to feel comfortable and safe, and we want them to be able to bike anywhere, make that happen. And we'll see in a moment how this vision informs the plan's goals. The plan's goals are somewhat simple in a way, but again, have really led us to a pretty revolutionary plan here. So first, of course, is safety. You're pretty exposed on a bike. We really need to focus on getting people not to feel that exposure and be safe, right? Be behind barriers as much as possible. 2 is mode shift. You know, our city general plan wants 15% of trips in the city by 2040 to be by bike, and the climate smart plan extends that to 2050 and says we should be at 20% trips by bike. Again, that's a huge leap from where we are today. Second, or lastly, is equity. For a long time, as we all know, infrastructure has focused in certain areas, and we've heard a lot from people about where this infrastructure might be placed to help folks kind of meet the equity challenges of our day, right? And there's a lot of angles on that. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to the person who really led this effort and has been managing it from day one and deserves almost all the credit for getting this done, and that's John Brazil.
Thank you, Ramses. So before I get into the details of the plan, I think it's helpful to understand a few key points the plan is based on. First, here are images of different types of bike facilities that we refer to in this plan. Don't worry about the details. What's important is that our surveys found most people prefer the three facilities you see on the left of this diagram. On the lower left, first, you see a shared use path, which is also known as a trail. These are off-street facilities away from cars. Think of the Guadalupe River Trail. Second, you see separated bikeways, which are on-street and have a vertical element such as a post or a curb separating bikes from cars. And third is bike boulevards, which are calmer neighborhood streets that include traffic calming features that prioritize bikes. So the bar charts on the top of each image, you see the percentage of San Jose residents who are comfortable riding on each type of facility. The three types on the left are generally called low-stress bike facilities because people are more comfortable on these facilities. They are the emphasis of the low-stress bike network that we'll talk about in this plan. Now for the second key point, using traditional practices of the past, building low-stress bikeways took a long time and cost a lot. To address these challenges, this plan recommends using a quick build construction strategy. These quick build strategies cut costs in half and take half the time to plan, design, and build. Quick build will be the main implementation strategy for this plan. In the future, as additional funding becomes available, quick build facilities may be enhanced to add additional features. The picture on the upper right shows some modular precast kind of bollards that would be used in some facilities for separated bikeways. And the picture on the lower right shows a bike boulevard on San Fernando at 13th Street. Over the last 2 years, city staff and consultants have been busy looking at existing conditions, talking with neighbors and community groups to understand their goals, and developing this plan. This effort began with outreach to understand how people think about biking and what their perceived barriers to biking are. The outreach and engagement effort dug deep and wide with an emphasis on 1, gathering underrepresented voices and meaningful feedback, and 2, creating a plan meant for everyone. Now I'm going to talk a little more about those efforts. We used a variety of outreach and community engagement strategies to understand what people in San Jose want in a bike network. To best reach diverse communities within San Jose, DOT and consultants partnered with 3 community-based organizations. As Ramses mentioned, the first was Latinos United for a New America, or LUNA. The second was Vegelution Community Farm. And the third was Vietnamese Volunteer Foundation, or VIVO. These community partners were selected from a long list of CBOs based on 2 criteria. First, their immersion in traditionally underserved San Jose communities. And second, their interest and capacity to partner. The role of these CBOs has been to host meetings, workshops, and events about the bike plan within their communities, to attend community working group meetings, to assist with translation and interpreting needs, to review materials and review the plan. Their efforts included hosting meetings exclusively in Spanish and exclusively in Vietnamese. The lower photo shows a Vivo organized meeting held entirely in Vietnamese. Outreach also included presentations gaining feedback from local community groups, tabling at events, and hosting workshops. Outreach also included online surveys and the wonderful project website at bikesanjose.com, which includes a detailed wiki map and a comment tool for the public. During the project, we hosted 3 technical advisory committee meetings and 5 VPAC meeting presentations, which received helpful feedback. We also hosted focus groups, including one exclusively in Vietnamese. And during COVID, we pivoted to online outreach, including 12 community group presentations and 2 live town halls, which were available for later viewing online. Our sub-consultants at EMC Research conducted a detailed survey in 3 languages. This slide highlights a key takeaway, and I think it's really fascinating. The map on the left shows that currently the percent of people who bike now is moderately high, from 6 to 23%, depending on the council district. But on the right, we see the percent of people who the survey found want to bike more, and that's 2 to 7 times as high, ranging from 42% to 66%. This information aligns with what we heard during outreach. More people want to bike more, but they don't always feel safe. Safety concerns usually involve the desire for separated bikeways or calm bike boulevards. In some instances, safety concerns involved neighborhood criminal activity that caused a lack of personal safety to bike. Also, secure bike parking, connected bike networks, and links to transit were priorities we heard in surveys. The recommended bike network is a key part of the plan. It emphasizes creation of a low-stress, all ages and abilities network. Network analysis emphasized safety and equity goals using a variety of metrics. It was also developed with diverse community input from our CBO partners and stakeholders. The plan incorporates information from other plans as well, such as our Vision Zero plan, our pavement maintenance program, our Trails strategic plan from the Parks Department, and Planning Department's urban village plans. The analysis also includes connections to transit and enabling bike plus transit trips. Because most trips are not commute trips, the plan will serve all trip types, including shopping and trips to school. Here's some of the work from the consultants on the bike network. The map on the left shows a metric called bicycle level of traffic stress. Red streets are more stressful to bike on, and blue streets are more comfortable to bike on. On the right, the map displays a metric measuring bicycle demand. Neighborhoods in darker red have more characteristics that indicate higher demand for biking. These neighborhoods are most likely to see an increase in the number of bike trips. Based on the on the work I've just summarized, here's the total network map of existing and planned bikeways. In general, we plan for separated bike lanes on bigger, busier streets and bike boulevards on smaller, calmer streets. To see details, the project website at bikesanjose.com includes a zoomable interactive map. Now I'll show you just a few highlights from this map. This plan recommends that most new on-street bikeways be low stress, which means either separated bikeways on busier streets, or as I mentioned, bike boulevards on calmer streets. This map shows the recommended network of separated bikeways, totaling about 357 miles. Of those, about 104 miles will be brand new separated bikeways, and about 253 miles will be the enhancement of existing basic Class 2 bike lanes, which currently only have a stripe of paint between where you ride a bike and where people drive a car. Based on the work I've just summarized, So the goal is to complete a citywide network of low-stress bikeways. To accomplish this, consultants emphasized use of quick build strategies and coordination with other programs, such as the city's annual pavement maintenance program and green stormwater infrastructure program. One thing that's really important to note is the emphasis on equity in this implementation. This slide is from a page in the plan, and it highlights the 3 goals of mode shift, safety, and equity. The equity studies and emphasis looked at communities of concern throughout the city and prioritized those for project implementation. In addition to a network of bike facilities, this plan also recommends policies and programs to achieve the 3 plan goals of mode shift, safety, and equity. In developing these recommendations, San Jose studied best practices of cities with high rates of bicycling. Best practice examples of encouragement include improving wayfinding signs and expanding bike to school programs. Best practice examples of policies to make biking safe include lowering speed limits and restricting motor vehicle right turns. Best practice examples of improving process and design include updating city design policies to reflect new design standards. As you know, our customers don't necessarily distinguish between on-street facilities, which are developed by DOT, and off-street trails, which are developed by our Parks Department. The network functions as a whole. To that end, we made sure to coordinate this effort with Trails strategic plan, which is an appendix to this plan. A Parks Trail Program staff person served on our TAC That said, we need to acknowledge the different challenges for each program. Trail development generally faces additional regulatory hurdles and higher capital costs. In conclusion, this draft plan recommends the most effective and efficient facilities, programs, and policy goals to advance the city's safety, mode shift, and equity priorities. We recommend approving the plan and we welcome your comments. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mayor, just to wrap up, staff does acknowledge the receipt of the memorandum from mayor and several council members, and we support the recommendations and direction in that. So thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
One other note is we did receive feedback from T&E, and I just want to make sure the members of T&E know that we have incorporated that feedback into the plan.
Great. Thanks, Ramses. Thank you for the presentation, for your work. All right, let's go to members of the community. There's a lot of public outreach, and we had a lot of community partners in this, and we appreciate their engagement. We'll start with calling user 1.
I, for one, I don't think there should be any more bike lanes made. The ones we have have ruined the driving for people who pay registration to the state and to the county, and then all of a sudden roads are getting torn up, causing traffic. To build these bike lanes, the bike lanes downtown look terrible. Anyone who thinks that those blue, what I call them rubber baby buggy bumpers, look like crap, fading in the petrochemical there is fading in the sun. Looks horrible. I mean, I'm glad that Sam can get to work on his bicycle that he keeps crashing on. Yeah, no, I say no on any new bike lanes. They're a joke. And bicyclists, they got to be the worst drivers there are. They don't have a license. You ever seen how bicyclists drive? They drive like garbage. They constantly are getting hit by cars, or they're hitting cars. It's terrible. Maybe they should have a license on their bicycle if they're gonna have to keep up with the flow of traffic, so they can help pay for the roads and all these pie in the sky bike lanes. It's a joke. Everybody knows it. It's a bunch of feel good crap. Why the entire country is melting down with COVID? You guys about more bike lanes? You guys are crazy. Thanks.
All right, Tessa.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Yes, well, we are in a climate emergency. My husband, who's the scientist in our community, a master biologist, says that we are in a catastrophe now and that we are going into annihilation. It also means extinction. And we've already lost 70% of the animals that the World Wildlife Foundation has been tracking. So we need to move much quicker off of fossil fuels. And what that entails is not 20% ride share by 2050. We won't be here, is what my husband says, by 2050, okay? We have to go much faster. And we have to have bike lanes on every major road, and there has to be money. Oh, and the money, because there is no budget for this. We need to take that from Measure B, from the BART, and we need to reduce the BART. It does not need to go to Santa Clara. Take the billions of dollars and really make it a world-class bicycle system as soon as possible. And that's what we need to do. Oh, and outreach, and that is not necessary. We need to follow the science. The science says we have to get off of fossil fuels. We don't have to ask the neighbors. We know what the neighbors are going to say. No. And we heard that already. Of course, that's why we're in the world of hurt we're in. Nobody wants to get off of fossil fuels. We know that. So we need to be leaders. You need to be leaders. And we're going extinct. So we need to change quickly. Like Greta Thunberg said, when your house is on fire, you don't wait another year or another month or another week. You pick up the water and you douse it. And the scientists are saying, we need to be off of fossil fuels now. And that's what we have to do. We have to create the infrastructure that we can ride bicycles, and it needs to be, our roads need to be improved for traffic calming. And that's the big problem when my city council member doesn't listen to me. And also she doesn't take notes of what I'm complaining about. So she knows Stockton Avenue. This is the problem of Deb Davis. We need an infrastructure and engineering of our complaints.
Thank you. Scott?
Yeah, hi. I'm Scott Mace. I'm a resident of San Jose. You may have seen my letter in your packet. I'm the local representative for a coalition of California cycling groups known as the California Association of Bicycling Organizations. In addition to the written comments in our letter, I want to remind this council that every street in San Jose is and remains a bicycle legal street as governed by the California Vehicle Code. Bikes belong on all those streets, whether or not they are marked as such on the plan. On these streets in the plan where Class 4 separated bikeways are implemented under this plan, cycling on those streets outside of the Class 4 bikeways is and will remain legal as established in the state legislation that created Class 4 bikeways earlier this decade. CABO appreciates that many miles of so-called Class 3 bikeways, which are mentioned in the plan you are approving, will remain in service after this new plan is implemented, and we appreciate that previous plans have helped motorists appreciate that bikes belong on those Class 3 bikeways, both through Sharrow markings on the pavement and via bicyclists may use full lane signs that are present where conditions for that use are evident. We look forward to the ongoing maintenance of these pavement markings and signs as we remind motorists that the new bike plan does not mean that they do not suddenly have certain streets all to themselves. They don't have those streets themselves suddenly. We look forward to continuing work on the pavement surface quality, maintenance, and improvement, which benefits all street users in San Jose, especially cyclists. Thank you.
Thank you. Blair?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great, thank you. With item 5.1, thank you incredibly to the City of San Jose, the VTA, and to other Bay Area cities at this time. There may be a plant, a tree, and a flower that is possibly starting to grow in the current attention and funding for bicycle and pedestrian programs at this time. It is logical and simple. There's been from years of work, efforts, and determination of many people at the local level trying to build a future of better practices, sustainability, hope, and friendship. Meanwhile, the long-term human and social planning goals and ideas associated with the possibly man-made forced introduction of the COVID-19 virus mostly feels redundant, irrelevant, and unnecessary in a more humanistic, sustainable future local communities are already working towards. Thank you for these efforts. I would like to remind everyone there was a really great T&E meeting, community meeting yesterday, and it spelled out there are ideas about the future of the environmental programs of San Jose and the local energy programs. It was really good stuff we've been working on for years now. And it's just a bit insulting that we all have to put up with this COVID ideas in the name of our future social planning good when we're already doing these really good practices that we're just trying to start to implement again. So good luck in how we can do that. I can't stress enough how to try to involve and invite, whenever you see technology and hear technology and surveillance and data collection, think about what sort of open public policy practices can go with that. How can it be accountable and open to the public? It's a good concept. Thank you.
Thank you, Blair. Bob? Bob? I guess we lost Bob. Mikhail?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. My name is Mikhail. I have been San Jose resident since 2007. I live in Willow Glen and I work in Milpitas. And the bicycle has been my main way of getting to work and back for the last 12 to 13 years. Not only it's one less car stuck in traffic, but I also truly believe that it makes the quality of my life better. And now I have two kids who go to Willow Glen Elementary and they bicycle there. And I think kind of between me and my kids, we're an example of people who can really benefit from this bicycle plan, because I I feel safe enough to go with traffic, and I take advantage of the traffic diet and the bike lane, which we have in Willow Glen downtown. But certainly I don't feel safe for my kids to do the same thing. So I'm really looking forward for this improved infrastructure, which is being proposed with this new bike plan. So I would really like to thank the city staff, in particular John and Randy's, and my council member, Dave Davis, for working and for supporting this plan. And I hope you vote to support it. And not only that, but also work on how can we make it come better, come reality faster. Because we cannot it cannot come sooner than that. So if it takes additional funding, please help find it, and please help approve this plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dustin?
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. My name is Dustin Harbour. I work in East San Jose, and after purchasing an electric bicycle almost exactly a year ago, the vast majority of my trips to and from work, as well as my errands and entertainment in and around San Jose, are now done by bicycle. Every day that I'm able to safely bike in San Jose results in one more car off our freeways and streets, and consequently less air pollution for my community. But the only way that I and my fellow cyclists and pedestrians are able to reap these community benefits is by making our streets safer for us. And as John indicated in this presentation, so many potential cyclists are scared to be out on our streets because they're designed primarily for cars and not for everyone else. So every mile of bike lane and pedestrian-only paths added by the city helps to keep us safe and makes our city more sustainable and equitable. I want to thank the staff for all the hard work they've put into this plan, and I urge the council to approve it with increased funding so that we can get it implemented even faster if possible. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Laura? Go ahead, Laura. Take yourself off mute. I guess we lost you. Brian?
All right. Hi. For the record, my name is Brian Prescott. I'm a resident of downtown San Jose and a member of the Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition. First of all, I'd like to thank City Council for inviting public comment here. I'd also really like to thank city staff. I was very impressed by the detailed and data-driven proposal for the Better Bike Plan 2025. I think this is a really wonderful way to design our public policy, and I hope we can decide our policy by the data today, and I hope we can continue to do so in the future. So that being said, I respectfully ask for your aye vote on the bike plan. Since moving to San Jose, I have thoroughly enjoyed the strong network of protected and buffered bike lanes near downtown. Those beautiful and attractive green pylons have done a lot for my quality of life. Even though in the past I've lived in suburban areas that can have less car traffic than around here, I feel much safer cycling in downtown San Jose. And this has enabled me to sustain the lifestyle of my choice, which is a life without a car. So I'd also like to note that the staff report shows us from the data that this bike plan is a proven way to invite San Joseans onto their bicycles. It offers us a cost-effective mode of transportation. Think about it, a bike costs about as much as a single car payment. It promotes regular exercise as a natural way of life. Goodness knows we all need more exercise. And it cuts vehicle miles traveled. So not only does that cut down on our carbon emissions as a city, but it achieves the ever elusive holy grail of city government, which is to actually reduce traffic. So yeah, the Better Bike Plan is smart, it's cost effective, and it drives us towards the goals that we've set in the general plan. So I ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Sanaya?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My name is Sandhya Ladha, and I work at the Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition. Thank you all for the opportunity to speak today. After extensive time and effort the city staff have put in this Better Bike Plan, it has reached its final stage, and we're really here to extend support for the same. I'm very excited about the goals and policies the plan mentions, and we're looking back at how far the city has come. We believe that all these goals can be and will be achieved. I'm looking forward to see the city has 20% of trips by bike, as Tessa mentioned, maybe sooner than 2050, and have the city foster a radically inclusive bike culture, and with all its effort, grab a gold for bike friendly status. Thank you once again for this opportunity, and we're super eager to get this plan adopted. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, good. I'm Robert Jones. I'm a sort of long-term resident of Gardner here in North Willow Glen, one of Raul Peralez's constituents and Sam's prior to that. And Sam, you recall when we opened the bridge on going over West Virginia over the Guadalupe, I was there when we cut the ribbon.
I do remember. Thank you, Robert.
Yes, it was great. And we cleaned up a lot of stuff there. Thanks for your leadership and guidance on that. And we cleaned up a lot of things out of the river. What I want to reemphasize is that you know that, and many of you know, Deb Davis too, our neighbor next door. It's really easy to ride from Willow Glen to downtown as a transit person. This will become very important when the Google campus evolves. One thing I would like the city council and the mayor to address is getting the creeks and streams and the pathways cleaned up. One of the biggest obstacles we face out here, has been brought up before, is a lot of the trash and homelessness. Maybe we could get some of these homeless people jobs cleaning up the areas that they're living in while we transition. But as I said before, if it's not safe, you won't have as many people using this transportation. I've also become an avid fan of an electric scooter. I've owned a couple of them. Some people don't always want to pedal all the time, but it is a green technology. You put solar on your roof, you charge, use a battery, you can go all the places you want to go really fast. So I support the expanding and increasing the quality of the bike paths. Let's just work together and clean it up so people feel safe to transit these areas from one neighborhood to another. Thank you.
Thank you. Number that ends in 4379.
Hi, I'm excited for the Better Bike Plan, and I appreciate the focus on underserved neighborhoods. We've had months of awful air, and unfortunately, it seems inevitable for the future. A safer network is critical to reduce VMT and emissions in San Jose. Given climate change and the record high traffic-related deaths last year, I think this plan, along with Vision Zero, should be expedited. I really hope that pavement maintenance funding from the 2016 Measure B isn't reduced for BART to San Jose and Santa Clara, as that will obviously slow the implementation of the projects in this plan and Vision Zero. In addition, it sounds like VTA is exploring service cuts as high as 30%, which places even more importance on this as the county still deals with the pandemic. I'd also like to urge the council and staff to expedite an e-bike rebate program, as they don't require special charging infrastructure like electric vehicles. And lastly, specific to my neighborhood, I was surprised not to see Ruby Avenue in District 8, as it's an important route to get to Evergreen Valley High School and Quimby Oak Middle School. And overall, I support this plan, and yeah, I hope the funding can be expedited. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura?
Yes, thank you. I'm Laura Monzinski. I live in South San Jose District 2. I've been here for 35 years. I normally ride my bicycle everywhere throughout San Jose, throughout Santa Clara County. The bicycling situation has improved over a lot over the past about 7 or 8 years. I think partly because of more people riding and showing an interest, advocacy groups like Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition. We were fortunate to have 2 directors of transportation, Hans and Jim, who actually rode their bikes and understood firsthand the needs. And even the mayor understands firsthand the needs and dangers of bicycling. So most of us who bicycle a lot, Sam included, have been hit at least once, and this is not acceptable. we need more safe and protected bike lanes and bike paths. A few months back, people around the world saw clean air from fewer people driving, so the environmental advantages are obvious. Bicycle infrastructure is a good economic investment. Bicycle lanes cost a lot less than car lanes and highways. Bicycle parking takes less space than car parking. And there are many more people who would join the ranks of bicyclists if they felt safe. I do feel safer all the time, so let's keep up the good work and accelerate it as much as possible for the health of our planet, the health of all residents, including bicyclists and pedestrians, and everybody. We all benefit from a healthy planet, healthy people. So thank you for your work on creating the Better Bike Plan and for continuing to make it easier and safer to ride a bicycle in San Jose. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob?
Hi, my name is Bob. I'm a senior manager for government partnerships at Bird Scooters, and we fully support the San Jose Better Bike Plan. Bird is a permitted scooter share operator in San Jose, and we're really thrilled with this. We can tell you firsthand that the biggest barrier to using e-scooters and bicycles is that potential riders do not feel safe sharing the road with cars. This extensive expansion of all types of shared use and exclusive bike lanes makes it easier for riders to feel safe when commuting, shopping, simply taking leisurely rides, and of course, hopefully in the near future, attending city council meetings. We'd also like to point out that robust bike lane networks promote other forms of mode shift, including increased use of public transit. The state of our climate demands that bike lane networks be seen as an absolute necessity and not some sort of public amenity. It is vital that we do everything we can to eliminate carbon emissions generated by private gas-burning vehicles. Bird wants to congratulate the entire team at San Jose Department of Transportation for their incredibly well thought out and extensive expansion of the bike lane network that will fundamentally change the way thousands more citizens get around in San Jose for many, many years to come. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you. And that's the end of public comments. So I'm going to bring it back to my council colleagues. Council Member Esparza. Councilmember Esparza.
Sorry, I just realized I was on mute.
No worries.
All right, I'll start again.
I'm sure it was brilliant. Whatever you said was, I'm sure.
Yes, it was brilliant. I just wanted to say thank you to city staff for all their hard work on this. There have been a lot of community meetings, and I particularly want to thank them for the public outreach process that was done for this plan. I think that was really important. And I think this presents a great opportunity for us as a city to rethink how we can build a successful and safe transportation network. In particular, I wanted to add that I also appreciate that this plan complements our Vision Zero goals. And similarly, I also think that I believe very strongly in the need for comprehensive trail safety plans. And I appreciate that this will happen in concert with our trail program. It's one of the issues that has been discussed, particularly with the Coyote Creek Trail. And so I think that's important. And we need to ensure that we carefully coordinate with other departments like Parks, PD, Public Works, and DOT to ensure that our bike trail users, particularly along our creeks, have a safe experience. And so with that, I wanted to move the memo written by Mayor Liccardo and my colleagues that really brings some opportunities for advocacy, safety, and use some equity metrics as we develop this plan. And I'm particularly excited about east-west connections in the city. I think that's important. And so I wanted to move that memo forward.
Second.
And that's it.
Thank you. The mayor is back.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor, for phoning in. Councilmember Arenas.
Thank you. So I also want to just start off by congratulating everybody. This is a plan has received so much good comment, as we all have heard. And particularly, I want to point out some of the comments that have been shared with us by folks who are just, cyclists or bikers, and just loving the road on their way to work. And then they had children, and then all of a sudden, that road that they risked themselves on was not appropriate for their children. I think we're seeing a lot of that. And so I'm also very supportive of the east-west connections, because that's important, bringing all the folks who are in our area downtown and elsewhere. But I want to say that I think that focusing on making sure that these lanes are safe, not only for cyclists who go to work and who these east-west connections are going to really serve, but that on the weekends, they also incorporate their families, right? Or in the evenings, incorporate their families. And that, this is not only just for work, this is also for play. And I'm also a mom who has taken up the bike. and I've got to say that I also, I'm very protective about my son. He's 11 years old. He doesn't want to hear this because he's a big guy. He's like 5'9", 5'10". And either way, I think we've done so much from, I've been living in Evergreen for about 18 years now, maybe 19. Ooh. Anyways, it's been a while, and I've seen the improvements. It does feel that any level of improvement for our bike lanes, it means that we as parents can really enjoy that road with our children without having to really worry about, is that car really going to graze us? Is it going to come too close? Is it going to respect the division or not? And so it has really increased my level of confidence of being out there on the road. And so I just want to thank you for making sure that we're all of our needs are incorporated, from people who go to work on the bike to people who are just, weekend. I don't even think that I can consider myself a weekend rider, because I'm just a mom rider, I guess, whenever my kiddo wants to include me. And so anyways, I've loved for the bike, and I want to thank your team for taking into consideration all of our my team's recommendations. We made some of these over in T&E, and I think, John, you heard us loud and clear. You included a lot of what we had, and I just want to reiterate, you already included the Thompson Creek Trail portion that we talked about in T&E, and then the Neiman Boulevard from Capitol Express down to Aborn. That wasn't reflected on the plan. And I think just recently you also recognized that there's some missing segments where VTA light rail expansion from Tully up to Capitol that are not reflected, missing paths from Quimby down to Montgomery Hill. The Ruby segment that I heard one of the callers talk about was really important. That was really neat to hear that caller talk about that segment and recognize that. So we do have some wonderful cyclists out there. Small missing segments on Kettman Road, Woodside Lane, and Cadwallader Avenue, and as well a missing segment on Lower Yerba Buena Avenue. And so I want to thank you for taking all of our suggestions. This really just makes this a whole comprehensive trail out there for us to get around. And so I'm really excited to share this with our residents and show how connected we can be. I also really appreciate that you're focusing, and this comes, I think, from more the mayor and my colleagues, in focusing more of in neighborhoods that typically we don't see maybe cycling as much, but we want to see those neighborhoods doing that as well, and the east to west connections. And so this is overall just a great topic, a great item. I think everybody loves this bike plan, and it's completely funded by taxpayers. And so they're seeing their investment right back to them just in time, right? And so we're all enjoying it on the weekends and during the week. And I just want to say congratulations. Wonderful, wonderful work to all of you.
Thank you. Clarifying, clarification there. So all the comments you've just made, we have included them, the map. We're doing some map work in the back to make sure they are. We have noted all of them, and we're very well aware of them, including Ruby. That's also on our list. The entirety of Ruby is now considered great. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. Councilor Jimenez?
Thank you so much for all the work. I appreciate it. I just had a few quick questions. It seems to me that the parking space and lane reductions are essential to reconfigure the roadway and to get the physical space necessary to install the improved facilities for cycling and such. And so currently it seems to me that happens project by project, correct? I mean, I mean, we had Chenoweth, for example, and I think there was even a community meeting, things of that nature. So I guess my question is this: since that's such a important part of getting all this done, would it be helpful to have broad direction from the council to give you the authority to just go about implementing this and putting in place those reductions or those adjustments on the roadway rather than coming back every time? I'm not sure if the right verbiage is coming back for authority to do so, but if we can make it easier for you and streamline the process, I'm curious as to what your thoughts are about that.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman or member. This is John Russell, Director of Transportation again. And while we love having that big broad direction and give us the ability to do this, I think we still would like to take a look at individual corridors, because as you may know, they change as you go through parts to that corridor. So while we appreciate it, and I think this plan itself, that if you adopt it today, it will give us that broad ability. We still want to take some real good looks at each individual corridor segment, the right way to do it. So thank you for that offer. I think you are giving us very broad direction on this today, though.
Okay, very good. Because I obviously, I mean, my expectation is, you have that broad authority that obviously there would be communication with the council staff to identify any potential issues. It wouldn't sort of cut us out of the process. But I'm glad you think that you have that broad authority. I appreciate that. So thank you so much for the work. I'm certainly going to be supporting this. I think different modes of travel are super important. I often tell folks that I think Monterey Road would be better used if it was a little safer and such for folks, for it being that main artery into downtown from South San Jose. I know the memo that was put forward focused on east and west connection, which I think obviously is important. But there's a lot of different connections that are important. So thank you for the work. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember Perez.
Yeah, thank you as well. And I was happy to be able to participate yesterday in the press conference, and certainly appreciate the work by staff, John Risto and team, John Brazil, all your work in this regard, and really excited about these next 5 years building on our last bike plan. And I would agree this is better. And it builds off of it. It's not just in name, but we really, I think, have learned a lot over the last 5 years. And we've seen how the different type of bikeways we can build out, how they will attract particular riders. Shiloh Ballard from the Bike Coalition made some great statements yesterday in regards to the different demographics of individuals, men, women, different ethnicities, and how they might view the use of bike lanes, the ease of the use, the safety of it. And if we don't take into account all these different factors, then unfortunately we'll be building out a bike network and a pedestrian network for only a subset of our community. And but it's possible that we take into account all of these different factors. And I don't know anybody else, but I'm distracted by Ramsey's kid. Pretty cute. And so I think it's just, it's certainly terrific what we've been able to learn. And I like to use the example, oh, bummer, he shut his video. I think it's, I use this as an example. I feel fairly comfortable riding a bike, especially around downtown where we do have a lot of the protected and buffered bike lanes. But my wife does not, and she never has. And she loves to go riding with me, but at the same time, it's scary for her. And when she feels comfortable is when we are in some of the protected or buffered bike lanes. And I don't have to be nervous. She's not nervous. And we're just enjoying ourselves. And we're able to get to wherever it is we want to go. I take it regularly. Well, I used to back when I was riding into City Hall, but would take it regularly and certainly for work purposes, but just for pleasure. And when you can't do that, when you end up hitting a portion of the bike network that's not connected, it ruins the entire trip for you, and especially for somebody like my wife. And so I think it's terrific that we are planning for our 8 to 80 individuals. We are planning for our entire citizenry and demographics that are much more equitable, and not just, as Councilmember Jimenez pointed out, not just focused on necessarily the areas that we point out in the memos, the east-west. I know that our city staff are truly focused on getting people connected throughout the entire city network. We have a long ways to go, but I think this plan is really going to help us take us to the next level and continue to be the leader that we have been in a bike network. So enthusiastically supporting this, and thank you to everybody.
Thank you. Councilmember Carrasco.
Thank you. Well, of course, I'm going to be voting on the motion, and very happy to be supporting the plan, and really want to congratulate everyone that was involved, including our residents who gave such great feedback. I wanted to, if you don't mind, whoever is in charge of the presentation, if you don't mind going to the presentation, page 8, because you were going through the great presentation and there was so much information, but just in case anybody missed it, I just want to highlight something that I think is really important for all of us to just look at just one more time. And I'm sure folks out there who are looking at this presentation has looked at it, has already digested it. I'm sure my council colleagues have seen it. I just think it's such a great slide. I want to re-emphasize it.
Yes, I'm going to pull that up now. Thanks for your patience, council member.
Yeah, thank you so much. But the reason why I want this one slide up is because what I want to mention is the feedback that we're getting from the city, which overall, thank you. Overall, throughout the whole city, we're getting great feedback.
Sorry about that.
I love it. I just have teenagers that just
there we go.
Yell for no other reason other than to yell. But if, can you enlarge that?
Let me see what I can do here. My screen is not cooperating. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
I got it.
So on the left is, of course, the percentage of those who bike now, which, of course, we want it to be higher. But for different reasons, it probably isn't, and that's probably infrastructure. And as a city, we could do better to help folks get on bikes and leave their four-wheel vehicles. And on the right are those who would like to bike more. And what I like to point out is, if you look at East San Jose and downtown, they're among the higher reporting individuals who show the greater interest. But especially District 5, which is, of course, the district that I represent, that actually really surprised me. And if you look at the previous screen or the left side, we're among the lowest that actually are on a bike. And so I'm and that's why I strongly support this plan, and I've signed on to the memo, because it's time that we invest in our underinvested communities and make sure that the infrastructure is there, so that we make sure that our residents who really want to adopt these lifestyles, who want to be part of the bike culture or the biking coalition, who want to reverse the harmful effects on Mother Nature, and who see the detrimental impacts of climate change, or who simply want to enjoy a Sunday afternoon, have the infrastructure available to them to support that lifestyle. I just have to tell a very quick story. On White Road, if you've been on the east side, White Road is a very, very congested artery in the east side of San Jose. And my son had left his bike. He had gone up into the Alum Rock area with his one of his best friends, left it there. It had gotten very dark, so I picked him up. He left his bike there, and then he went back over there to pick it up and rode it all the way down White Road from District 4, from Councilmember Diep's district, and told me that the fear that he had driving all the way from the Berryessa area up to Clayton, which is where I live, he could feel the trucks right on his back. And I know what he must have felt, because when I drive it, I see the potential danger. And so it's one of the reasons why I haven't allowed my 3 teenage children to ride bikes more often in their own neighborhood, which is ironic, because as a young girl, I rode, my entire childhood was spent on a bike in the Horseshoe area, in the on the other side of the tracks from Willow Glen. And those are the fond memories I have. My children don't get to enjoy that. Of course, things have changed. There's more traffic, but on the east side, we have some of the highest number of collisions and fatalities on the street. So this is a game changer for individuals who want to get on a bike for a number of reasons, whether it's work, play, the environment, really reducing our carbon footprint, whatever the reasons are. This is a really good thing for our residents, for the city, and overall for our environment, especially as we sit here, not just sheltering in place because of COVID, but because in the last 20 days, it's only been a number of days that we've been able to go outside of our home to enjoy a little bit of fresh air and blue skies, due to the air index. So thank you so much to everyone who has participated in this, and I'm going to full-heartedly support it.
Thank you, Councilmember. I want to again thank everyone for their hard work in putting this together. I neglected to mention Ramses Madhu, who presented today. So thank you, Ramses, as well, for your work, obviously, in spearheading this effort. I have to say this is a really well done plan, because it's very accessible to the public. It's easy to read, a lot of charts and graphs and data. It's presented in very digestible ways. And I thought just the whole presentation is very well done. I might point out, I thought it was pretty cool. If you guys haven't taken a close look at page 4 on the history of cycling in San Jose, it's actually pretty extraordinary stuff I didn't know anything about. I always knew about Ola Faber's cyclery, but I didn't know he invented the velocipede here in San Jose, apparently in 1842, and I guess that was some precursor of the bicycle. And there's a whole lot of really fascinating history there as well. World record holder here in 1895, a woman, I believe, African-American woman who held world record for speed, which is incredible. Idalia, I believe Allen is her last name. First bike lanes came along though in 1970, which was the year I was born. So we've had a lot of catching up to do over the last 50 years, but we've made a lot of great strides, and I really appreciate us reaching the 400-mile threshold now, with more miles to go. I want to thank folks who've been pushing for a long, long time on this effort. Certainly John Brazil, who I know has been heading up our bike efforts for many years, and really I want to thank you and honor the fact that you overcame extraordinary medical challenges to continue leading this effort this year. Thank you, John, for all you've done. And John Risto, I know there was some mention about other Department of Transportation directors who rode bikes, but John's name wasn't mentioned. I tell you, I had proof because Councilor Perales and I were on a bike with John Risto. Actually, we were all on different bikes, but we were all on bikes just yesterday. So I know for a fact that John Risto is a cyclist as well, and appreciate all his pushing. And then I want to thank a prior DOT director who just announced that he's retiring. Sadly, good for him, but sad for us, Jim Ortball. It was back in 2009, before Jim ever became director, that I came out with this crazy idea in San Jose that we needed to look at what other cities in other countries were doing and start to develop segregated bike lanes and try to move the parked cars out into the street and put bike lanes in between the sidewalk and the parked cars, and put together this very long memo. And it pretty much went nowhere because there wasn't a lot of money to do much anything. And I think there was a lot of concern and fear about what it might do in terms of safety, and people won't really know what to expect or whatever. And it was really when Jim took over as Department of Transportation director that we started getting some traction, trying some of these buffered lanes and segregated lanes and other kinds of infrastructure that I think we're now recognizing, and this plan clearly recognizes it, that's what we're going to need in order to move more people who are perhaps a little intimidated by high traffic speeds, by all the understandable concerns about safety, to really get them out there and move them from four wheels to two. So I really appreciate how we've embraced that, and I really want to honor and thank Jim for his leadership. I want to explain just briefly what's going on with that whole language in the East-West connector business. Appreciate all of Scott Green's work on this memo with me and with many colleagues. But really, it comes down to several different data points that we saw in the report. I think Councilmember Carrasco pointed to one, which was really important: the highest number of percentage of residents that really want to bike more are in District 5. And we know that they face very real obstacles around perceptions of safety and actual safety. And we know there's a lot of folks there who may be transit dependent, may not own a car. This could be a real critical lifeline for them. And so when 66% of residents in districts say they want to bike more, I think we should definitely listen. We know that obviously getting a connection downtown is important for jobs, to get to San Jose State, a lot of other critical resources. And so it seemed natural that we would try to find a really safe path from D5 to D3. I should also know on page 35, description of the high injury networks, and some of the streets that are listed there that are most prominent in the high injury areas, it's Santa Clara, Alum Rock, Williams, Story, and Tully, all east-west connectors, where we have a lot of safety issues. And so we know that's a pain point for us, clearly. Page 34, I think, of the report describes high traffic stress. You see the exact same patterns, that it's east to west there, particularly downtown to D5. And then I believe it's page 47 of the report describes potential bike demand. These graphics, by the way, are really well done in the report, and I appreciate the work. And really, we recognize if that is where the potential is, then maybe that's an opportunity for us. And what's apparent is that it's very hard. Those east-west connectors in the middle of the city, roughly north of Story and south of Montague or Brokaw, it's really hard finding space. And so I don't want to minimize that fact. I just think that it'd be worth spending more money on one of those streets where we could make a major connection safer that would be continuous. Now, I know we've got bike lanes, and I know we're doing some great work right now in San Antonio, although I haven't driven out there yet or ridden out there yet to see it. But I know there's a lot of work underway. But having one continuous, safe, protected connector between District 5 and District 3, east to west, I think could be really important to drive a lot of folks to get out there, and particularly folks who might depend on that as a commute route to get to and from work. And so that's really what drove the interest in including that east-west connector language. I think this is a great plan. I think we can make it just a little better by saying it's worth investing the extra dollars for that really hard east-west route that we know is challenging because of historic patterns of how the roads have been built. And John, I welcome certainly any input or any thoughts you have about that, or Ramses.
Thank you, Mayor. John Russell, Director of Transportation. And yes, we totally agree with that. If you, and the conversations I've had with both you, your staff, and other council members on this, if you look at the Valley, me being kind of a systems transportation guy, I look at what's connected. We really are kind of set up more for north-south with creeks and rivers and trails, and a lot of the roadways are set up. What we have a dearth of is really great east-west connections. Certainly, we got some big roadways. Your point being, we've got to take advantage of these. This might be the hardest way to try to make these east-west connections better. We'd love to do more than that. Just one isn't going to do it. We've got to do more than those. And crossing those barriers, whether they be man-made freeways or natural creeks and rivers, is a tough part. That's why we're trying to put these on these higher volume, higher speed roadways and recreate a really safe, separated system. So totally support what you're saying. We would like to actually start looking at even more than just one, but we'll start with that and actually put some investment. Those are the kinds of things that we really will go after with some other state and regional grant funding to go after that, because it's going to take some money to actually recreate some connections within the east-west corridors.
Thanks, John. Appreciate that. I really also want to call attention to some great data in here in page 54, talking about what Seville has done in Spain as an example. You know, certainly we've done great work with rapid implementation, but I saw they built 50 miles of protected lanes in 16 months. I don't know what that costs, but I'm guessing they got a lot of money from the EU to do that. What's really important, though, is they increased bicycling rates by 200% and reduced the crash risk by 60%. And I've seen other studies that confirm that. If we can get more cyclists out there, it makes everyone safer. Traffic moves slower. All the cyclists are more visible. And I think that's really where we want to get to. And so that raises the question for me. I think we've made a lot of great progress in infrastructure in various ways, obviously not having nearly enough money to do what we'd all like to do. The bike share mode has not moved in a decade. And I'm trying to understand sort of what we think. I think I know that over the last couple of years, we've evolved a little bit, particularly with this rapid build stuff that we've been doing, which I've been very impressed by. What do we think is going to move that needle that didn't move it before?
I'll say a little bit there, and then John Brazil, if you have something to add, that'd be great. Well, one, it's hard to say whether the needle has or hasn't moved. The data sources that we've had over a long period of time are the broad census data sets, and they're a little bit iffy in terms of kind of getting.
It's just census data?
Those longer data sets are, and we're getting much better data sets now. And so one of the things that we saw in this data, in this plan was this data on, look, people using bikes for other trips is actually quite a bit more widespread than kind of seen. And I think that's just an important kind of fact to get in our heads. We have been moving the needle. We just don't have the kind of the barometer to see it, right? So I think that's on one hand, I think is an important thing to see. But I think what's really going to move the needle as we get our metrics in place to actually monitor it, it is, I think, the protected bike lane. It is, those polls around what kind of facility people will actually put their kids on and feel comfortable on, right? I mean, we obviously have this huge potential. 66% of certain districts want to ride more bikes. Well, what we need to do is give them facilities they actually feel comfortable on, right? And that's why we focused on protected bike lanes so much. And then I think your story of Seville is such a good one, right? This is definitely a critical mass problem. Once you get enough people riding, safety goes up, acknowledgement goes up. I used to live in Japan, and there many people ride motorcycles and scooters, and the crash rate on them is way less than here, partly because on every single street there are just lines of people on those things everywhere, and so bikes are, drivers are trained, and people know how to ride as well. So those are some of the broad thoughts I have. John Brazil, you want to add anything?
Yeah, on top of I think what Rams is saying, the most important is to build that safe network out, but it's also being connected. And I think some of the council members and some of the public have already mentioned that not having a connected network of the safe system is a deterrent. And it's not just people wanting to ride to downtown, it's really people riding to destinations and origins that are in every one of the council districts. They don't have to be riding 10 miles, 2 miles to Evergreen Community Center in districts 8, 9, 10, and 1, just everywhere that we've got to make those connections and make it safer for short trips, medium and longer trips. And it's all about that. And I think as we start to build out the system being safe and connecting things, then people are going to get on their bikes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, John Brazil, I saw you about to jump in. Did you want anything?
Yeah, just a couple points. One is, when somebody wants to ride a bike from one place to another, they don't judge their feeling of comfort and safety on the best block of the bikeway. They judge it on the worst block.
Yeah.
So if I want to bike a mile and 9 out of the 10 blocks are great, but the 10th block is terrible, I'm just not going to ride. So we have to make sure the whole network gets people from A to B the whole way, and a high level of comfort and safety. And then the second point is, we can train people or educate people till we're blue in the face, but culturally, once there's kind of this virtuous cycle of once more people are biking, then more people pay attention to it. Because if I don't know anybody who bikes, I'm not going to be aware of it. But if my spouse or parent or daughter bikes, I'm going to be more aware and pay attention when I'm driving. So that's another point.
Yeah, good insights. Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for all that. Last question, really. I know you all have heard this gripe from every cyclist, and it's something the city is not responsible for directly, but indirectly. Be out there on the bike lanes and the gravel, the glass, all the stuff that may puncture your tire, cause you challenges. It often seems that there's a real challenge with cleaning of our roadways. As I understand it, that's really primarily the responsibility of our contractors. And it does appear sometimes there's some very uneven performance with regard to what roads are getting swept and what roads are not. And I guess, maybe this would be a nice update for the 311 app if we could easily report those streets. But is there a solution here for residents other than just calling City Hall and complaining that their road's not swept?
That's on, Mayor, again, this is John Russo. No, that's on us. While we do some of the sweeping in-house, DOT, ESD has some other routes. We are going to make a focus on that because it is something that we have all noticed riding out there that whether it's just a regular street or a bike lane, we need to do a job of that. And this plan can bring some of that back into focus because part of it is going to be maintenance too. Not only the downtown streets with protected, we think how because we're not putting narrower places in, we've got to have the right maintenance activities to care for those streets. We're going to have more people ride them. So we've been noticing it. We're going to try to bring some focus to that as well.
Great. Thanks, John. Councilman Camus?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, staff, for this the great report and great presentation. I you know, I know that there was a great emphasis on the east-west connection. You know, I've been working on the north-south connection. There's quite a bit of um, monies that I asked for to be put into the Measure B for VTA, and you know, I've been working my hardest to to get things going. Any updates on where we are on that the connector between downtown and Almaden?
Yeah, maybe Jess or Ramses knows, but yeah, you've been very, very persistent and somewhat successful now that with the Measure B program does have funding set aside for some of those specific connections in the trail system of Guadalupe. They are on the trail system, I believe, and not necessarily on the street system, but I do think that we did pretty well as a city from the last round of Measure B funding. I don't have the exact schedule of when those projects are going to advance, but maybe Jess or Ramses knows that.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Jessica Zank, Deputy Director for San Jose DOT. We were successful, led by Eve Zudi and Beth in the Parks and Rec Department in securing the ability to tap into Measure B for a number of our trails. And I can get you, I'll follow up via email with the specific reaches of the Guadalupe River Trail that you have been working very hard on for a number of years.
Thank you. I've even been told that you know, some Kaiser is willing to pay for some of it, and I've, you know, I just waiting for the go ahead from other organizations, you know, that we need to use their cooperation, like the Water District, and you know, I know I'm not going to see it in my tenure, but I hope that you can keep that dream alive for me when I'm gone.
Absolutely. We'll invite you to the ribbon cutting.
Okay, and one more thing, you know, one of the folks on the public comment alluded to this. You know, I have a lot of people that do like bike riding, and you know, when school comes back in session, we have a lot of kids that go to, you know, the high schools, sometimes bicycle riding, and I have had numerous complaints about bike trails, homeless encampments along the bike trails, not feeling safe, you know, to traverse, you know. One big problem is how on the trail that's parallel to Highway 87, and it kind of crosses District 9 and District 10. It's on our border, but there's so much homeless encampments. People are they refuse to ride because they don't feel safe. And I asked Nora to let me know what law is it that prevents us to move these encampments, and she said that there isn't really a law that prevents us from moving encampments. It's the CDC guidelines that we can't, that, you know, that they shouldn't be bunched, shouldn't be bunched up. Can we move these folks so that people can ride bikes and feel safe riding a bike?
So that's really a PRNS, you know, trails issue. We at DOT don't have authority over the trails. And that's, sorry, John, Director José, were you going to say something more?
Yeah, Councilmember, I think that is presenting a very large issue, and it is something we as a city are working on. I think that Beautify San Jose is a big effort with that, and there's probably more information to come from other quarters of the city. Fortunately, I and my staff don't have a whole lot of information that we could give you on that today, but certainly we could follow up on that too.
Yeah, and if I could, John, so Councilmember, appreciate the question. I will tell you that we are looking at, well, certainly the criteria for moving an encampment can include public safety reasons. And so if we feel there's a public safety need, we have the authority to be able to move an encampment. We are looking at that type of criteria right now. Certainly if there's a blockage in the right-of-way, we can move the encampment. The challenges obviously are where do we move it to? But I want to express to you that we are looking at this criteria and how we would be able to accomplish such a thing.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because like sometimes they're not even totally on the bike lane, but they're they're on both sides, or I could tell you that I have neighbors and my own kids are starting to ride bikes quite a bit, and they will not go down, you know, and they're men. Both my sons are men. They're not, and I can't imagine, you know, a woman traversing by herself through areas like this. You know, we want to make these streets safe for women, you know, too, because I think once a street is safe, I mean, I learned this when I went to Copenhagen in their 2-week course on master, you know, city planning. And if a woman feels safe in a city, then the city is safe. And so that's one thing I took away from that. And I'd love to have women traversing on or feeling safe enough to, you know, go down the bike lanes, you know, as Councilmember Carrasco noted earlier.
Thank you, Councilor Cummings.
Thanks.
All right. Anything further? No. Okay.
Just want to let Councilmember Carrasco know that we did activate the signal at King in San Antonio with a very nice pedestrian interface and safe bicycle system over there. So that's been activated today.
Oh, fantastic. That was very rapidly deployed projects, as I recall. John, you guys did all that in the last year. Thank you for that. Really appreciate the responsiveness. Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, then let's vote on Councilmember Esparza's motion.
Yes, I think you said my name, Tony. I did.
Yeah, sorry, I was too quiet. Peralez?
Aye.
Yep.
Aye.
Roscoe?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Esparza?
Yes.
Arenas? Arenas?
Yes.
Foley?
Aye.
Camus?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you, everyone. We're going to 10.1, which has been pulled off consent. This is the rezoning on Delmas Avenue, the same matter I believe we heard last week. Is there any presentation from staff before we go to the public?
From staff, we're here to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thanks, Rosalind.
Rosalind, your volume was a little low, just for FYI, when you do come back.
Thanks, Dave. And Councilmember Peralta, did you want to say anything before we go to the public? I know that you were helping to host community gatherings on this issue.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, we hosted a community meeting just last night, and we did have the representatives from Bodhi Light International. They were actually the same individuals that were on our call last week. They're obviously the organization's representatives. I know there was some confusion in regards to if we had the right people or not, and we do. Bodhi Light International is a nonprofit organization, and it's the organization themselves that is purchasing the property or has purchased it and is going to be coming in to do the operations. And they were there yesterday and engaged. There was mixed emotions from community members, some that were in favor, some that continue to be against. But I think the most important part has been just the improved communications and just recognizing that what my office will do, obviously, as Bodhi Light begins to operate, is help to hold them accountable in regards to their conditional use and help make sure that they are a good neighbor. And so I know we have a number of community members that still wanted to be able to speak up on this item, but I will move recommendation or approval of staff recommendation.
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Peralta. Second from Councilmember Foley. Let's go to the community. Any members of the public like to speak on this item? And this is the rezoning on Delmas Avenue. Robert Jones. Welcome, Robert. Robert, yeah, it appears your device might be muted. We're not able to hear you just yet.
All right. Thank you very much. I just want to give thanks to Council Member Magdalena Carrasco I've heard about you, but I don't know you very well, but I did get to know you in the last meeting. Thank you very much for telling your story. We know who you are. And so you know who we are, and we really appreciate that. And Maya also for helping just slow it down a little bit. And Raul, thanks for your input and your work. We did try to meet with the owners of the new operation. They never met with us. Even though we made an appointment, I had to really, really work hard to meet with them. As far as them being here, they're really not here. They only have a volunteer here. There's everybody's in Los Angeles. So when we did approach the folks there, they were told that they were not going to talk to us. They were not allowed to talk to us. So I sort of felt it was kind of cultish what's going on there. Now, since they've expanded the building, it seems like the amount of parking spaces they have is less. So that may have to be recalculated. I would caution you to vote yes on this. Most of the neighbors that are closest to it or most affected are the ones that are concerned. If you do move forward with it, I want strict enforcement. If they don't comply within a reasonable amount of time, I don't really want to go back and forth with this thing. I mean, I want to be reasonable, but I want them to lose their permission to do this because this is really painful for us. And they could put that in the community center where we could use those type of activities. That building is existing. And this also does nothing for housing. So if you vote for this, there's no housing solution in there. That's the other objection we have. They took the house next door, which took even 2 more homes off the market. So it's a double whammy.
Thank you, Robert. Kevin Chrisman, welcome back, Kevin.
Thank you, Sam. And yeah, I would also like to thank Magdalena for slowing this down a little bit so that we could actually have a dialogue. I think that's important. Thank you, Raul, for making the time. I think it was a little rushed. I would have liked to have seen it go the 3 weeks so that we could have had more of a dialogue and not under such a stressful condition. That being said, I did send into council a set of 12 questions with some sub-questions that we tried to get answered last night. And Amy from Bodie Light did do a good job of attempting to answer some of those questions. But we also need city staff to kind of fill in some of the blanks there. So I would still like to have a written response from city as to some of these questions that I submitted to you. They're in the record, I hope. I would like to make one clarification though, or would like to ask Amy for one clarification though. In the CP zoning purpose of the city code, it says pedestrian-oriented retail activity is at a scale compatible with the surrounding residential neighborhood. And that's why we asked question number 5 about if this is a yoga studio, we don't want to have weddings, memorials, and gatherings that will overwhelm the neighborhood. And I also agree with Amy that I hope that if a problem arises, that we can work with them and people would not go to the city or the police first.
Thank you, Kevin. Veronica Duat?
Hi. Yes. So I actually just wanted to thank the city council. I haven't sat through one of these meetings since I was 18, and that was nearly 20 years ago. And it was for a high school course. So this whole Delmas Avenue rezoning has just engaged me in this, and I really, sitting through a couple of hours of this, I'm really grateful for the work you guys do and the fact that I don't have to sit through these regularly. I will say that from the meeting last night and from the lack of of communication from the local GNA board with the actual residents. There has the first email that went out was on 9/25 regarding this, and it was already kind of a fixed decision on what the board's position was without I felt a lot of input from the community at large. The 10 neighbors, I picked up the phone and called yesterday in a couple of hours in preparation for the meeting yesterday afternoon, all seemed either to not know very much about the project, didn't seem vehemently opposed to the project, and they seemed to welcome a new diverse member to the community. The concerns listed by the board of the neighborhood association were not on those 10 people that I spoke to just in the couple of hours yesterday before the meeting on their agenda, on their radar. So I just wanted to present a little bit of a grain of salt as to the larger opposition of the neighborhood association, and just grateful that you guys are listening to the community at large, and just that's it. I just wanted to put in my little grain of salt as far as the communication that has been happening. I think there's been a miscommunication or a lack of communication on various sides of this matter. So I figured I'd speak up.
Thank you, Veronica. We're going to come back to that issue around the timing in just a moment of the hearing relative to the ability to have community outreach. Tessa Woodmansee.
Yes, hello. Yeah, I don't see my time. You hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, there is no timer.
Yeah,
So
you have a minute and
anyway,
49 seconds left.
yeah. Okay, so basically, yeah, the community outreach is really terrible with the city. We had this experience on with the hotel that was planned in our neighborhood. It's really our general plan, you know, that's all up in arms now about, you know, the change of the single family because it's touched home in our community, but it touched home in my community because there are hotels being built, and it was all about our general plan and the very poor outreach about jobs over housing. And this is really the bottleneck of what the problem is, why we're having such a housing crisis, is because the city is holding on to land for jobs. And here in this scenario with Delmas, I used to live in the North Willow Glen area, you know, that basically, and moving over to the Rose Garden area where I live now, you know, the problems of integration of commercial with residential has really been the problem in my neighborhood, and how our city has no noise ordinances and no controls of pollution. And mostly, I imagine with the issue over on Delmas, it would be noise issues. And we're so bad about that. And it was so horrific that I could have blasting of horns from the Royal Coach Tours 24/7 because we're dealing with their diesel idling. So we had no controls of the pollution, and then how they harassed our community with noise. And then that was the real tragedy, was the city of San Jose is so weak in their noise ordinance. And we keep coming up against this as we're developing and developing more and more. And we're, you know, mixing commercial with residential. It's got to be a strong quality of life that we're not getting, even with the banning of the gas leaf blowers. We have to ban all leaf blowers. We have to, you know, really create quality of life and public health as our number one priority. Not what did Pope Francis say in his last encyclical? He said, we.
Thank you. David Meliodas. David?
There we go. Okay, unmuted. So I'm with Bodhi Light International. I'm the yoga consultant, yoga instructor that I've been working with them. And last week when Robert Jones spoke, he mentioned that he had spoken with me on the phone, and he made a claim that I had no knowledge about the San Jose project. So when he called me and he presented himself as a client, a potential yoga client to me, he didn't tell me that he was wanting to get to know me to find out more about our plans up in San Jose. So when I spoke to him on the phone, it was only about yoga. He asked me what the benefits of yoga would be for him. He asked me if there was any religious affiliation with yoga. And I told him no, yoga was very straightforward and scientific. And that was basically the extent of our conversation. So there was no, it would be out of context if I would have mentioned anything about San Jose, because that's future plans that aren't formulated yet, where it's in a fluid state. We're just discussing and conceptualizing what's going to be happening in San Jose. So I don't know, seems like he was trying to portray an image that we're being deceitful and that we're trying to hide something, but really actually he called me and he was concealing his identity from me and making false claims that he was interested in learning yoga from me. And he even went as far as to say, before he got off the phone with me, that he would go to my website to sign up for classes, which seemed really weird. But anyways, my time's up, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. Helena Seaman?
Mayor, her Zoom software is out of date, so she'll need to upgrade.
Okay. Helena, you don't have the most recent version of Zoom, and as a result, we're not actually able to hear your voice. So we're going to go back to council discussion. If you're able to download the most recent Zoom software in the meantime, raise your hand again, and we'll give you another shot. No? Okay, I think that person's now pulled their hand back down. So we'll come back to council. I just want to clarify one thing. If it wasn't explained clearly at the community meeting, I wasn't there, so I don't know. But Rosalind, could you explain just the fact that we didn't have community meetings? We didn't require a community meeting in this case, and why not? And why this kind of rezoning is kind of rezoning where it is always fit in the category of those processes where we don't have community meetings.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So this development project was considered a standard development proposal. It's a conforming rezoning application, and it also has a use permit attached to it. Generally, when we do have conforming rezoning applications, they conform to the uses and the policy and the goals of the general plan. So therefore, we consider those as standard development proposals because they conform with the vision that's outlaid in the general plan. And typically for conforming rezonings, we place them on the consent calendar for land use items. And obviously, if we do get community interest, if we get phone calls, emails, if there's interest, then obviously the council policy on public outreach does provide that the planning director can ask the applicant to hold a community meeting, and we often do that. But for this particular application, when the site was posted in April until the time that staff was getting ready to send the staff report for the council hearing, we had not received any community inquiries. And obviously, once the public notice went out, that's when staff did receive significant interest from the community. But by that time, we were ready to bring the project to the city council for your consideration.
Okay. So this is one of those conforming rezonings where new tenants come in. Obviously, we don't want to create a lot of hurdles for sort of regular business and community activity. And we know it gets very costly and challenging, especially if they're trying to be able to get up and operating rather than sitting around paying rent and not being able to do anything. And so that's been the rule for a long time. Certainly always happy to take another look at that. But I think fundamentally, I think that's why we followed this process. I think for any other rezoning, we would have had a much more extensive community process. Okay. I think Councilmember Pross, you've made the motion. Do you want to say anything further?
No, that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, thank you for explaining that, Rosalind. Let's vote on the motion then.
Jimenez? Jimenez? Peralez,
Aye.
Dip,
Aye.
Roscoe,
I'm going to vote yes, but I just want to express that I'm a little disappointed that further dialogue didn't happen, but I am voting yes. Thank you.
Davis,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Arenas,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
yes,
Hello? Yes,
Amos,
yes.
Jones,
Aye.
Ricardo,
Aye.
Dr. Jimenez.
Yes.
So okay, so that passes unanimously. I do want to thank all the members of the committee who came out to speak. I know that all the members of the community are not satisfied with this outcome, but we do expect fully that if you are, if the use in some way or another raises concerns as being violative of the conditions that have been publicly expressed, we expect you'll tell us, and you should expect that we're going to respond. So thank you, everyone, for coming out. All right, so I think that takes us to public forum. Are there any members of the community who'd like to speak? Mr. Beekman?
Hi, thank you, Mayor, for acknowledging how I got cut off during the wild pig item. You know, I may have started drifting into an area that was a bit uncomfortable. I'm really sorry about that. You know, I'm sorry for any awkwardness I have and not understanding. I was trying to sensitively talk my way through it, and I hope that can be respected. Sorry for my own awkwardness on the subject, and I hope it just can be an open subject to talk about. And that can sometimes be hard to do, and so I'm trying to learn that just as much as everyone else. So good luck how we can do that. To talk about openness, there is an issue that keeps popping up that when items are deferred, it's confusing who, you know, if there can be a public discussion of the item when it's being deferred. I hope that's something you can review as a council and with the new city attorney and come up with some good answers. Because I know the mayor, he prefers to allow people to speak during a deferment process, but there is some Brown Act rules that state if it's already gone through a committee, it doesn't have to be publicly sought again. That's my understanding. Good luck on how you can work on this. And finally, it being National Night Out, I hope that you know, you're going to really feel good about your decisions about, you know, we do like our police in our community. And I can understand that. And once you come to those realizations, I hope you can also realize that, you know, you can be open that there is a possibility of new choices at this time and on a world that we're trying to develop that's based on some really important principles of peace. And it's ending, we're addressing the military prison industrial complex, and that takes a lot of effort and work by us. So good luck, you know, we're in a new paradigm, and I hope we can just all be open to the many choices and good ideas at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I believe the caller number one, call-in user one.
Yeah, I mean, I really like to use Zoom, but it's a terrible platform. You can see you've got problems in every city council meeting. I'm wondering if it's on purpose. I mean, you have these multiple phone numbers you have to call in. Total pain in the neck to do all these things. You guys should be ashamed of yourselves in the center of high tech that we're doing something so archaic. It's really ridiculous. But I like to give the city parks people, I met with them the other day at the Rose Garden about some issues there, and they were wonderful. And the city council really needs to filter more money down to Parks and Rec because they have so many things they have to deal with, vandalism and people causing problems at these parks, wrecking them. There needs to be more money for them and less for the police and fire department. They really don't do anything. You know, they're both. The rankings are terrible. Forget about police brutality. They can't put a fire out. Their police can't catch anybody doing any crimes. If they do, they let them go. They're worthless, really. I mean, put money into the parks. People are enjoying them. maybe put in some surveillance so people don't vandalize these things at night with these stupid scooters. Get rid of the scooters. I don't care about the guy from Bird who called up. The scooters are horrible. They don't obey any rules. But once again, the parks are great. Deb Davis, I want you to make sure that the people who take care of a lot of the parks area get the funding, and do me a favor and fix the road properly on Hicks Avenue at Calacita and San Carlos at Meridian. You fixed it, or that you didn't fix it. City fixed it. It's like polishing a turd. It's still terrible. Fix these roads, Sam. You have all this money to fix the roads, and they're terrible. How do you ride your stupid? No wonder why you crash your.
Thank you. On that bright note, everybody have a great day. Stay healthy and happy National Night Out or In.